following story may feel familiar. It will likely not end happily. The people described will likely suffer in their desperation, but they will all be important before the end. Welcome back to the dark future.
We bring you now to an emergency broadcast. A terrible accident has caused a large section of the old combat zone to be affected by what authorities are describing as a chemical incident. Suspected is a drug maker going by the handle of Blue, who lived in the area. NCPD is reporting that this drug dealer created his own blends, heavily relying on blue glass, a powerful hallucinogenic street drug, as his signature. In the blue haze, aerial imagery has shown many casualties. It appears several AVs have been scrambled to assist survivors. As we receive more updates around the situation, we will bring them to your ears. Stay tuned.
Kilo Tango 5510 arriving on scene now. Toxin levels are high. Exterior chemical analysis shows the presence of osmotic compounds. Hazmat teams prep for level 4 hazard conditions. It's going to be a mess down there. Stay safe, everyone.
All right, everybody. Hello. Welcome back to Neon Inferno. We took a week off last week to play some Valhalla. And I am extremely excited to be back. I have already seen stuff popping off in chat and people contributing rewards and things like that. We will have a fun little ride today. As I'm sure the intro has totally informed everyone of, we are starting up pretty much where we left off last time. So today we are still missing Connor, unfortunately, but we do have the other three. So we have Cody, we have Ghost, and we have Nyla. Nyla in particular, thank you for becoming a patron. I was caught off guard by that over the weekend where I'm like, also I'm like, what the heck? So thank you for that, but welcome everybody. I'm so glad to have you all here tonight.
Hell yeah.
I'm here. I'm just halfway through a giant baby-sized chili verde burrito, so.
Yeah, no, you're totally good. I know my dinner tonight consisted of overstuffed hot dogs, basically where we just had like 2 or 3 hot dogs per bun in one of those like big old sandwich rolls. So I hear it. Beautiful. All right. Well, so as you all in the audience may remember, and I know it's been no short topic of conversation in the last couple weeks while we've kind of been waiting to come back. Blue is no more. If any of you have forgotten that slightly depressing little bit of news, now you know and can remember that Blue is dead. So we need to meet Ghost's new character. Unfortunately, that's going to take us just a little bit because we have a more pressing sort of thing to kind of go through first. Not least of all here, the blue haze still hanging over the old combat zone from a chemical accident. I didn't know that chemical accidents came in mortar shape, but apparently they do.
So you said press. You mean pressing or depressing or both?
I apologize. Maybe I got cut off. Depressing. Of course, depressing. So, culture. Dang it, making me hungry. Only had French toast for dinner hours ago. Now I've got the munchies. Yeah, do it all. Oh my god. All right. So, without further ado, let me go ahead and connect us to the game screen, and we will get our thing moving here. All right, and there is everyone. It shows all of you are muted at the moment. Totally fine. But so let's do a brief recap, because honestly, the last session doesn't need, I think, a ton of words to describe what happened. Basically, we answered a question last episode that asked, what happens when you throw a party of edge runners, a mercenary sniper, and a couple of high explosive charges into a black site for Biotechnica, developing some really corrosive toxins? The answer, of course, is one of those edge runners dead, and a giant blue fireball in the skyline above the Glen. So you all went to Biotechnica's kind of a black facility of theirs near the edge of the combat zone, and broke your way inside through a fence. It got louder than I think anyone wanted it to. You guys kind of found the spots in the facility that were most important. You did rescue Sugar Bomb for what it was worth. And Blue died heroically in that effort. So when you left, the charges went up. Trauma team started circling overhead, having been called in by Sugar Bomb on Ghost's behalf at the last second. And as they looked down over the burning azure wreckage of this facility, they you all heard in the frequencies over the radio, like, base, I don't know what we're gonna do about this. It looks like there's nothing left for us to save here. And that's kind of where you guys left, headed back towards the combat zone. And you heard pops off in the distance as you saw the arrival of a round of mortar shells arrive, dropping a thick teal haze over the combat zone. That, for a mercy, didn't take very long to dissipate. Most of it is kind of cleared up by the time you arrived back in the old neighborhood around the semi-ionic, or the ionic semiconductor building, rather. But what you find there is mostly silence that's just broken by coughing, sputtering, and one fixer in very bad shape, namely Paradox, rounding the corner of a building as he's kind of beginning to sing or something. But he doesn't look good. He doesn't look like he's all there. And that is where we rejoin Celsius and Peacock as we kind of get into things this week. With the fact being what it is, you all see Matchlight rush in the direction of the tech facility where Electo and the other techs were working on the FBCs. And he clearly, after seeing Paradox, is concerned about Carpet. He even says as much in brief as he kind of runs in that direction, leaving you two along with John Doe at the center of the aftermath of this horrible attack. So as we begin, how do we kind of want to do things? Where are we going first?
Fuck if I know, dog. What is the state of my injuries right now? Just to, because I actually don't know what brain damage kind of looks like physically.
So to say it's like proper brain damage where it like scrambles your ability to talk and stuff is not entirely accurate.
Mm-hmm.
Generally speaking, the abstraction for it is that it's like, think of your neural wear, like where all that's implanted, it's all burned. It's kind of like your head is getting set on fire from the inside out to an extent.
Mm-hmm.
The area closest to your brain is mostly unharmed, as far as like neurologic damage would be concerned, but it's definitely like your head's probably throbbing, you're probably a little dizzy. It's like suffering a degree of head trauma to an extent when you get hit by that, because it's like you're just getting hit by like high voltage electricity right to your neural wear, which is like in the back of your head.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Oh. What do we do?
Yeah.
If I remember, sorry, I stepped away for a brief moment during that last bit of information. Paradox was around the last part of the session, and he's sort of chilling with us, or is he collapsed? Did he die? What's going on?
So he didn't die. So he came stumbling around the corner, singing Amazing Grace and looking like his eyes are glassed over, which probably they are. And then he collapsed into a heap. You're not sure truly how alive he is, but you can see he's close enough to you that you can see that telltale like chest kind of like shakily rising and falling, almost like he was choking on something. So you're assuming that whatever this is, he's probably, without medical attention, he's probably not long for the world. Like he's in a bad way.
Cool. Right. I'm gonna vote we pick his ass up and take him out of this crap, because the farther we get him from it, the better.
Yeah.
So
he's the one that can help us the best, probably.
Could you both also roll me perception checks?
Sure.
This is what I'm good at. Let's make it count.
Oh yeah.
Or not.
Okay. No, I mean both of you roll well enough here, because again, it's not like electricity has been cut. These charges were gas charges, so they didn't really cause a lot of collateral damage or anything. And so the lights that are normally on, sparse though they are, still give enough illumination to the surrounding area that you can kind of see things, and obviously you can still hear. Celsius, you most especially have no problem because you have that low light vision, because Nyla, I don't believe Peacock has that, right? Peacock
I do not, no.
Okay, beautiful. So Celsius, for you especially, this is like your vision is unimpeded. As you kind of glance the area, as you've done probably dozens and dozens of times before, though not in obviously these circumstances. You glance around briefly, because this is pretty much your neighborhood. And you noticed something as you kind of glance back up the building. To your relief, it's in one form of relief. It's not like a sniper scope or anything. On the other side, though, you recognize that it looks like there's still some kind of vapor or smoke or something coming out of the cracked building that is the ionic semiconductor building. And you quickly begin to realize that whatever agent was dropped, it may have cleared from the streets, but because of how partly enclosed the building itself is, it looks like there may have been a charge that got inside, because the teal smoke billowing out from the roof and the cracks in it is kind of betraying that to your eyes as you kind of look around.
All right, well, I want to get Paradox to some kind of medical care, but if my fucking med tech is dead, that's not going to do much help for me. So,
well, and you also remember a call you made it feels like maybe a lifetime ago now, but about 20 minutes ago, you had called the kids of Generation Red and told them to throw gas masks on and hide in your cargo container. The cargo container behind what appears to be a building full of smoke.
No, if I remember, I said to hide somewhere. I didn't say hide my. So if they chose to go to my cargo container, then that's not my fault.
That's where you've told them to hide before, though.
I told them they could take shelter there. But yeah. All right. Well, I guess we try to open the damn doors.
Yeah. You find. So I'm actually. I'll have you roll athletics for this. It's not particularly hard because you know these doors better than anyone else might, since you're tasked with guarding them.
Before I do that, I'm gonna take. Stupid jacket is extremely heavy. I'm going to take it off. Just shove it back in the bag for a minute.
Yeah.
If that makes a difference.
Yeah, it does certainly make a difference. So yeah, go ahead and beautiful. Yeah. So you reach onto the door, and partly fueled by adrenaline, honestly, at this point, because you're just like quickly realizing how bad things are, right? Like it's one thing after another is kind of like spiking your ability to just do things that normally would be considerable effort for you. You, to maybe your own surprise even, grab a hold of the edge of this door and just with your own raw strength just pull it back. And this thing's big, like it's a factory gate. You just pull it aside like it was like a piece of thin sheet metal, and just throw open the door.
Papa Bear's got that adrenaline. What are you gonna do?
Yeah, exactly. So as you open the door, just as quickly as it flies open, you see this waft of teal smoke just billow out in front of you, and you feel this like really light tingling as like bits of the vapor touch your skin. It's not enough to like properly affect you, but that that whatever was in that facility, based on what Peacock told you all, this shit was dangerous. It was a full-on like nerve agent. So you feel that like numb tingle of your fingertips as that were touching the door frame as you kind of pull back from this waft of teal smoke.
All right. I probably should try to contact. I've got the number for the tech in the Kabuki building, right?
You do, yeah.
Sure. I'm gonna shoot a quick message over there and say, hey, I don't know how you guys are faring over there. Hopefully, you didn't get hit by this shit, but we're gonna need some kind of help over here at the Ionic Semiconductor building if you have time.
So you're reaching out to the med tech?
Yeah, I can't remember their name.
Pan. Yeah, Pan is their name. Yep. So Pan reaches back and they say, I mean, it's bad. They a shell dropped out in the courtyard, and I mean, thankfully the front has kind of held it. Give me a few minutes. We just need to make sure it's all clear. I've got a sniffer that's working its way around to make sure that it's absolutely safe, and we'll be there as soon as we can be.
Take care of your own first, I understand.
But after a couple moments, the teal smoke clears to the extent that you feel as though it's no worse than the ambient outside. If you have any concerns about that, you can roll checks, but it takes a minute or two, but eventually that billowing of the smoke from inside, whatever that charge was that landed through, has kind of cleared.
Yeah, I'll risk it. I'll head in.
Beautiful. Go ahead and make me a resist drugs torture check. Okay, beautiful. Yeah, and that's plenty good enough for the dilute amount left here. But yeah, again, you just feel every every exposed surface of your body, you feel that really slight numbness kind of hit. And color, the color of the surrounding air takes on a slightly different quality. And in the back of your mind, you know, like that's probably the blue glass. But it's not like you go into like full on hallucination or like break into any kind of like neurologic shock of any kind. You, by and large, things kind of hold together for you.
I'll be real honest. Probably feels pretty decent considering I'm at 19 HP.
Right. Yeah. So
it probably feels bullet wounds.
Yeah, if anything, yeah, that might actually help you to an extent. So, as you walk in, I'm going to cut our music here for a moment. So, as you walk in, the area inside looks just about as horrific as you might imagine. In similarity to the outside of the building, there are people strewn all over the inside of this thing, the common areas where people would sit down, play, you know, cards with each other, talk, have food. There are people slumped over, faces onto the table. Chairs are kind of like either strewn about where people have fallen out of them or have bodies slumped back in them, eyes just glazed over skyward, and looking up at the ceiling of the building, you notice there's a hole that's probably like 2 feet in diameter or so, just large enough to be the remnants of like where a shell would have punched through into probably the center of the courtyard that makes up the inside of this building.
Would there be any kind of remnant of that shell on the ground?
So as you look around, yes, you do see the remnant of what appears to be, like a small mortar round, or like the hull, part of the hull of what was once a mortar round. And that appears to pretty quickly. It's much hotter, as you might imagine, than most of the surrounding atmosphere. So your infrared vision picks it up almost immediately. So with that in mind, what do you want to do?
Is it, according to infrared, would it be too hot for me to pick up and actually put in my...
It's cooling down, so you recognize if you give it a few more moments before you leave here, you probably could pick it up and take it with you.
I have to give it back to who it belongs to. But immediately the first thought that comes to mind is checking my own container, so I'll head there.
Yeah. So as you head up into the racks, because I don't know if I've ever described to you kind of what the inside of the building looks like, but essentially this courtyard-like area near the front is then backed by a wall of 5 levels of cargo containers that are kind of arranged in like almost like a semicircle. And running up along either side is a scaffold-like sort of fire escape stair system that has been rigged to allow movement between the levels.
But you're telling me that it's a Courtyard Marriott 2099?
A little bit, except, you know, where instead of rooms, you have cargo containers that have been kind of filed in there, and the roof is full of holes, with one new addition now tonight. So, with that said, you head up to your container, which is on the 2nd level, and all along the wall, you could see, like, there are, just like in the courtyard, people that maybe stumbled out of their cargo containers, coughing, sputtering, etc. And as you pull the lock open, the latch on your cargo container, to your relief, the immediate reaction of that door swinging open is not another plume of gas pouring out. The relief, however, quickly is replaced by a degree of horror as you see the children, having taken your advice, and not maybe your advice, but your offer to huddle in place in your cargo container, thinking it'd be safer. And you see 4 small bodies huddled over in one corner furthest from the doorway, and one older girl that you recognize to be Blades, sitting about halfway the length back to that corner with a shotgun in her lap, all of them with gas masks firmly planted over their face, all of them slumped down on the ground, seemingly unconscious at the bare minimum, and you're not sure of their state beyond that. They aren't moving.
All right. At this point, I'm gonna at least, like, I know I'm not the smartest, person in the world, but like, can I see any sign of breathing at all?
Roll me first aid.
That's exactly what I didn't want to have to roll, but okay.
Roll me first aid. Because there's, well.
Oh, okay.
Well. So you quickly assess things, and your enhanced vision isn't hurting you here, actually. It's providing you somewhat of a benefit, because unlike other types of more like standard vision, being able to see in things like ultraviolet and being able to kind of flip between things, you're able to kind of check a very rough approximation of vital signs and things like that. And you've had to field medic once or twice before. It's never pretty. You're usually just there to act in the capacity of like a first responder before anyone who's more trained can arrive. And this is the thing that is going to prove probably the most helpful. As you flip between your modes of vision, trying to ascertain how bad it is. Blades is unconscious, but her breathing appears to be even, and it appears as though she has a weak but steady pulse. The 4 in the back are in a little more dire straits. Their bodies are much smaller. 1 or 2 of them are amputees, so they have even less blood and body mass for a poison to work its way through. As the saying often goes, the dose makes the poison. So you quickly kind of assess them, and immediately you know, obviously, because you keep provisions such as water and food kind of safely stored away in cabinets and things like that. You kind of quickly start trying to rub any kind of like contaminant, knowing that this is all probably, if it's of blues making, you know that it seeps in through the skin. So you kind of have the know-how immediately to just grab for whatever bottled water or other kind of fluids you have to like rinse their skin and just do something, right? And thankfully, because you were on the spot and like that was the first thing you thought to do, they go from the state of where they're like almost shuddering, like you can tell that some kind of neurological shock has affected them. They steady and their pulses become more like Blades. They are not out of the woods yet. You fully recognize this, but they're not dying in the next couple seconds. And you recognize that's probably the best you could do for them. And it's probably at least enough for them to wait for Pan and their assistants to arrive.
All right. All knowing that I probably don't have a pen or something in my container, I'll shoot a message to Blade's agent and just say, glad, this is going to be really morbid if it doesn't happen. Glad you're alive. You can thank me later. Sorry you guys got hit with this shit. We can talk once you're awake.
Beautiful. So during all of this, because Celsius, you've been doing all this, Peacock, what are you up to as things start happening?
So I want to focus now. I see Cell going into the building where the blue. Since I got rolled a 15, I can see that there's the blue glass coming out as well, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
So
There's a couple of like street lights and other kind of like exterior lights along the side of the building, and yeah, you can see that teal like smoke kind of pour out when he opens the door.
right. So I'm gonna figure that Cell is rushing into there because to make sure that everyone in there is okay. I'm there. I see Paradox slumped on the ground.
Yeah.
And seeing this, I want to, before I go over there, because I'm going to try to get him into the car, and have John, when Cell gets back, will drive away. I want to first make sure that it's safe for me to approach Paradox.
Sure. How do you want to go about ascertaining safety in this case? Are you looking to see like approaching him from the right direction, so if he does suddenly like shoot up at you or something, you're in a better position, or like what do you want to do?
So yes, so in order of priority, and like environmentally, like is it safe to approach him is there any blue glass vapor that I can see?
So he's out in an open air alleyway, so the air quality there is probably not going to be different from where you are right now. Like he collapsed maybe 20 feet from where you're standing right now.
Yes. And so if I'm approaching him, is there any place someone who might be affected by the blue glass could pop out and try and attack me?
I mean, there's a lot of these, like, it's kind of like a, what's the word for it? It's like a Hooverville around the outside of the building, because that's where a lot of these other displaced refugees ended up after half the district was burned. So, I mean, it's like a honeycomb of different little settlements along the edge of the building and some of the buildings nearby. So you recognize, yes, there's a possibility that someone could pop out from one of these encampments. Several of them have like sheets or tarps hung up for privacy, and it's entirely possible that someone's behind one of those. But you look around and kind of recognize like this was a one of those kinds of things where, unlike Blue's normal drugs, where they would leave the people alive until they were full of bullet holes, this was not meant to leave survivors. Most of the people on the ground are either dead or in some stage of dying, and it's pretty gruesome. So that is what you are kind of recognizing, is the odds of someone being cogent enough to like pop out and attack you is probably low.
Yeah, I mean, even still, given that, I'm gonna approach Paradox, but still, pistol in hand, just keep an ear or eye out, because who knows, maybe some force comes in after the fact. That might be their play.
Okay.
So yeah.
Beautiful. So you approach Paradox, and you were looking to see if he's like, if he's okay, like if he's alive, or.
Yes.
Okay. Beautiful.
Assess his physical state. Is he unconscious? Is he still breathing? Is there a pulse?
Sure. Roll me a first aid check.
This is not my best stat.
Okay.
It's good enough, I hope.
So you're not really able to assess his condition, but that is good enough to know, like, yes, he's still breathing, albeit shakily. Like, you can notice like his chest, instead of being that like smooth, like expansion and contraction, it's much more like jittery, like he's like taking ragged breaths, and you can even hear this like almost like a weak like as he's like breathing, he's wheezing. Otherwise, he does appear to be unconscious. Um, but yeah, I mean, whatever this was that they mixed with Blue's normal mix was fucked up. Like,
Yeah, but he's good. He's just affected by the chemical, and it's probably ravaging his body, but he's breathing, which it gives.
he's breathing ragged. Yeah. So again, you're not sure if it's like he is like in a place of like desperately needing medical attention, like, you know, full on triage level 3, like where he's like, you gotta go now and like get immediate medical intervention. But like, you also recognize that even if he were, there's almost nothing you can do about it.
Right, exactly. So given that, I'm going to try and pick him up.
Yep.
And I'm assuming that's going to take an athletics.
Yes, it will.
Alrighty. Is he a big guy?
He's relatively big. He's got some metal in him, but it takes you a second to kind of get your knees underneath you, because again, you've just been shocked and like you're still hearing like ringing in your ears, and to you, like your head is killing you. It feels like you have something resembling almost like a migraine. But
Yeah,
you manage to like force him up under like you get under his elbow and wrap him over your shoulder and lift him up and start kind of like crawling him forward toward the car.
Yeah, I imagine I'm grabbing him from like under his both his armpits, kind of holding him up, and his feet are kind of dragging on the floor.
Yeah, you're kind of like you're basically kind of fireman carrying him like under his armpit, basically, as you kind of like drag him out. And his feet are like limp, like he is definitely not conscious.
Yeah, is Crash there? Did Crash ride with us?
Crash went by another way, but as you kind of get Paradox back to the car, and John, seeing what you're doing, because he's just trying to assess like, what did we just enter? He sees you dragging Paradox and he rushes over to kind of help you and get him into the back. And as you do, you hear the chime of your agent receiving a message.
All right. First, put Paradox into the car.
Yes.
Then check the agent.
Yeah. So as you check the agent, Crash said, "I just saw news. What the fuck happened down by you guys?"
We'll fill you in later. We got a hell of a situation here. And talk to you later.
All right. Yeah. I mean, do you all need help?
Yes, if you can spare it. Do you know a good dock? Do you know a good ripper somewhere?
There was a woman I used to go to for a bunch of ripper work. I'll get in touch with her. And
fling me the deets.
Yep. And she says, yeah, I'll reach out to her right now. But I'll connect you, and you receive on your agent the contact information for a Wakako Okada of the Tiger Claws.
All right. Wakako Okada.
Yep. So,
all right.
And so with that, now overhead, off in the distance, you hear the whine of AV jets, and Celsius, as you kind of begin to get things sorted inside, you also hear this coming. And you hear overhead, "This is Kang Tao, Unit 5510. Lay down your arms, surrender. You will be fired upon if you do not comply."
Fuck me.
I'm inside a fucking building.
Right.
All right.
But yeah, and you see this set of two AVs flying overhead, and searchlights spark on and light that whole kind of courtyard and a few of the surrounding alleys right on your position.
We gotta go.
When I hear this, am I in my container? Am I out in the courtyard? What's going on?
So while Nyla was assessing and working on pulling Paradox to the car, I was assuming, were kind of like pulling the kids down to a place of safety in the courtyard to try and stage them.
Well, I was gonna leave them in the container and close the door to make sure nobody got to them.
Gotcha. Okay. So you leave them there.
That's why I left them on
Got
Blade's
it.
8. Yeah.
Got it. So yeah, you would be probably just halfway out toward, like, you'd be in the courtyard halfway to the door when these searchlights ignite and the AV engines are heard overhead.
I mean, I got no problem. As long as I can tell they're not NCPD, I have no problem.
Okay.
Yeah, who are they targeting is my question. Like, who are they talking to? Just the civilians?
They're talking to, yeah, anyone they see on the ground, basically, underneath them. And you could hear, like, the ragged kind of, like, half response of some of the people in the kind of shanty town around the building, those that aren't dead yet, as the lights kind of kick on. But yeah, they are very much coming in with the intent of like a military group. It seems they are decidedly not coming in with a friendly kind of feel to them.
Yeah.
I mean,
Whatever they want.
Oh, you're fine.
I was gonna say, whatever they want, I want nothing to do with it. I got deets. I got an address. I say we go there.
Beautiful.
Outrun an AV while we're both ready to die, and we have a dying person in the back of our vehicle. That sounds like a normal.
You got a better idea?
It wouldn't be the first time I voluntarily let my character get taken by somebody. So I mean, but I'm forward whatever.
I mean, we have two options. Whatever. If you've got an idea, though, I'm genuinely willing to hear it.
Oh no, if we're down the run, you just got to come and get me first. I'm farther away from the car than you are.
Not by
Okay.
much, though. Like, you can see the car just outside the building from where you're standing, Celsius. So, like, if you ran, you'd get there, like, within the round. You just wouldn't be able to do anything else.
Oh yeah, let's do it. Get the fuck out of here.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
All right. So you both pile into the car, and yeah, one of the Biotechnica, one of these Kang Tao AVs, start descending down into the courtyard, while the other one begins to follow your vehicle as you drive. So, I am going to have John Doe roll me his driveline vehicle check real quick here, which I believe is a. Hold up, I'm gonna double check something here. Two edge runners. Sorry, John Doe. Oh no, that's right. He's not in here. He's in those override. There you are. Okay. So
Oh, I have a question,
what's up?
real quick. Is Matchlight with us?
So Matchlight wandered back into the alley. He did not come back. So whatever is about to happen, he's not here.
All right. Well, I think he'll be okay. I hope.
All right. So John Doe starts the car and starts riding the very worn, broken streets of the combat zone to the north, basically, just to try and get away. And so the AV stays pretty tight on the tail of all of you. not wanting to let up. And you hear again from the AV, "This is your last warning. Put down your arms, pull the vehicle over, and cease moving, or you will be fired upon and treated as a threat."
I'm gonna gently mutter to Peacock and go, "Treat it as a threat. Don't they already know?"
I don't know.
So I'm gonna treat them as a threat, and that John Doe in the meantime can figure out how to fucking shake these guys. Would you say they're within a good 50 meters?
I would say so, yes.
Okay, because let's start tonight's session out with a bang.
Beautiful. What do you got up your sleeve
Or
here?
let's use a little bit of discretion.
God, I love that gun. Okay, beautiful. Yeah, discretion hits.
All right, we're doing this.
We're committed to the bit. Yeah. So you line up a shot with this AV following you and pull the trigger, and you see the spark as your armor-piercing round pierces through the fuselage of the AV and deals it a solid little bit of damage. It doesn't affect them enough to make them back off, but you do see that ever so slight shudder as the pilot kind of realizes that they're being fired upon.
Good, I hope this is him.
Yeah.
All I care about.
So I'm going to mark both of you for combat. I'm going to bring up our combat tracker here.
Hey, and what kind of vehicle is this? Like on the just from looking at it.
You are in a Militech Gorgon, which is like an armored security van.
Man, I'm sure this King Tao fucking AV really hates us now.
Oh yeah, they're definitely not happy about it. And then I'm going to roll in a. Let me find this one really quick. I know I have them. Oh right, I may not have this particular one, but I got some that'll work.
Encultured for the chat, I do not carry explosives, so we're gonna be doing this the old-fashioned way.
All right, if I'd have you all roll initiative on the combat tracker, please.
I hope John's got some extra guns.
Nah, we don't need any extra guns.
Jesus
All
fucking
right.
Christ.
Beautiful. So the AV shakes as the pilot recognizes the vehicle was just hit. Celsius, you have a moment now where you can take a second shot as they kind of weren't ready to just get shot at. Discretion is a wonderful thing. Go ahead and roll me another damage check on that.
Even with a -2.
Even with a -2. That gun is terrifying. And that one does. It sparks again. This one you notice isn't as direct a hit, but it's still enough to get under the armor of the vehicle. Peacock, what do you want to do?
All right. Fuck. I have a heavy pistol.
You do.
I hope. I turn to John and I'm gonna ask him, are there any onboard vehicles mounted? Or not vehicles, sorry, onboard weapons mounted to the van?
Nothing that we had. We weren't expecting to get chased by a fucking Corpo AV.
God fucking damn it.
I've got a rifle next to me. If you want to use it, use it.
I'll take it. It's better than my pea shooter.
Yep. So you
All right.
get, let me double check here the gun he uses. So you have an assault rifle with a full mag.
An assault
So,
rifle with a full mag. Okay.
I will add that to your sheet here so you have access
Thank
to
you. Thank you. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I was not meant for this type of combat.
Welcome
All
to the campaign with me in it.
right. Well, this gun's a little bigger than I thought, but I'm a peep out the window that is next to me, because I assume we have Paradox kind of sandwiched in between me and Cell.
Yes. Yep. So he's kind of like on the floorboards at your feet.
Mm-hmm.
Celsius is basically got one of the doors open on the back, and he's aiming up at the AV from the around the other one. And the only other windows are kind of at the front of the vehicle. Both the normal windshield and then the driver and passenger side windows. Whereas the rest of it's an armored van, so it's windowless.
Got you. All right. Yeah, I'm gonna try taking a shot at the van with the assault rifle.
Or the AV.
So at the AV. So I literally drop my pistol because I just imagine I have it in my hand from when I went to go get Paradox, and I just equip it.
Yeah, so you've got the heavy pistol on, or not the heavy pistol, the assault rifle rather on.
Mm-hmm.
So then are you just going to go back with Celsius and aim out the back?
Yes.
Okay, beautiful. Go ahead and roll me that attack check.
All right. Come on, don't fail me now. Hell yeah.
Yeah, that'll, I believe, let me double check. Need to check my range table real quick. Because that either hits or just barely misses. It's right on the edge.
Yeah.
But that is a good shot. Let's see here.
Pray.
Nope, that hits. That is right in its sweet spot. Yep, because it's at that 26 to 50 yard range. So you actually hit it pretty much spot on. So
right.
Go ahead and roll me damage off of that.
Come on, baby.
Hey, that's a crit!
That's a crit!
So, yeah, Peacock, in a moment of adrenaline spiked just rage and panic, you drop your gun, pick up John's, rush to the back to support Celsius, and fire out one of the 4 AV turboprop engines on this thing. And so now the pilot has a moment of panic, and you know this because all of a sudden that loss of one engine, for a moment you see this thing lurch to one side as it fails part of its thrust, like a quarter of its thrust. And the pilot will have to compensate for that now. So let me...
Wait a minute. I wasn't meant for this kind of combat.
Listen, man, I rolled a 9. If I rolled anything but a 9, I would be fucked.
An 8 would have been acceptable as well, actually. You were two above the DV at a 15, so that is what we call a good fucking shot. So
that's a lucky shot. That's what that is.
It is a lucky shot, but hey, we don't I don't make a distinction there. Let's see, lane vehicle tag. Okay, so this one's probably just going to be a... Oh, yeah. So this guy immediately starts, he starts to right it, but the vehicle falls far behind you as John is kind of kept on the gas and pushing forward. The vehicle hasn't been totally lost, but it is struggling in a way that it wasn't a few moments ago. So we're now beyond the 50 meter range. We are now at 51 to 100 meters for the purposes of DVs. Celsius, we are back to you.
How does that affect me, since I can't really see the true tables for sniper on my map?
Yeah, so it takes... So for an assault rifle, your DV shifted from a 13 to a 15. For a sniper rifle, it is now at a 15 instead of a 20. Bet, that's a hit. Roll me damage. Oh, Y'all got tired of dealing with this shit. Okay, cool. So you pull the trigger again and watch as this AV is trying to be righted by the pilot. You slam into the fuselage just above one of the engines. And you just watch again as the pilot is doing everything in his power to keep this thing under control and his own nerves in line. This thing's looking pretty beat up, and you can see a small gout of flame now appear where that bullet just hit. You probably nicked some kind of fuel line, you figure. So, not great.
Good for me, bad for them. I've got one more shot in my my magazine. So
Beautiful. Peacock.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's my turn. Okay. I realize now that they're out of any range that I could make. So I'm gonna go ahead and just put the gun down, and I'm going to head back to the front and give John the address for where Wakako is.
Beautiful. Yep. And so you tell him, and he says, okay, yep, running that into the agent now. And his hands are like firmly on the wheel, but you can see the ever so slight glint of like electronics behind his eye, kind of calculating out where he's going. And the car continues moving. So with this, I'm gonna have John roll me one more driveline vehicle with a bonus. And yeah, so he's still steady. He's good. AV behind you is in big trouble. So I'm gonna have him roll. Okay. So he does keep pace with you, but right about now, as they kind of begin pulling back into alignment with you, and you can see under the belly of this thing a machine gun drop out and start spinning up. We come to a point where from in front of you, you see for just a brief moment a flash followed by a trail of smoke as something flies very quickly overhead, maybe 15 feet above the car that you're in, heading right for the AV. I'm going to make a quick roll here.
Uh-oh. It's clearly the aliens.
I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that is indeed going to be a hit. Rolling. Oh, hold on. Okay. A large explosion rocks the AV as a rocket slams into it.
we have friends. Good.
You have friends, and all of a sudden you hear, because this car again has an onboard radio, and you hear, all right guys, so we heard you might be in a little bit of a bind. One of our med techs got caught up with us saying that there is a desperate SOS from a group of veg runners. Thought it might be you. The claws are responding to your call for aid.
Yo.
Love me some gang friends. Let's go.
Let's go.
So with that, the AV now officially like turns tail and starts running like hell. And over the radio, you can hear on the frequency they're using, Kilo Tango 5510 Alpha. This is Bravo. We are in dangerously close. Oh, fuck. And then you see another rocket streak overhead in their direction. Taking evasive maneuvers. We have rocket fire. Evacuate, evacuate, evacuate. And with that, the combat passes, and you both can breathe again as the Kang Tao AVs are removed from the skyline.
I imagine at this point I'm just like damn near fainting because I still got that brain damage and the adrenaline rushing and
Oh yeah, no, it's a nasty wombo combo you've been through tonight. Not least of all, you probably got some of those like very subtle effects of the airborne toxin and things like that. So yeah, all things added together, tonight is an interesting, not great night. But as we have you guys move forward, you eventually cross from the old combat zone into Old Japantown. And on any other night, this distinction would probably be like a, you know, you're going to a meeting, you're going to do a job, you're trying to get out into the wider city through a method that, or a route that the NCPD wouldn't follow you through. Tonight, however, that brighter neon, the still, you know, worn down buildings of the combat zone that are just slightly better than yours, suddenly they look like sanctuary. The light looks like something straight out of a fucking brain dance that depicted heaven. For you, this is salvation manifest, and you, for the first time tonight, feel like something is going right. So with that, you emerge out into the zone, and the address that was given to you by Crash has you getting to a small medtech clinic, not far at all from Purgatory. So as you all kind of pile out of the car, Sugar Bomb and Paradox, so Sugar Bomb's still in the car as well, I remind you. With them in tow, you walk toward this small corner clinic that outside is guarded by a couple of brightly clothed and like brightly kind of hairstyled tiger claws with breathing masks over their faces. As they see your car pull up, you can tell they tense for just a moment until they see it's you coming out, and one of them walks up and just says, this way, Okada-san. And he just is like indicating to go in the direction of the clinic, basically.
I turn to Cell and I'm just like, Choom, we fucking survived.
I wouldn't expect any less.
Fuck, man. I need a nap.
Well, grab
and
out of the damn car, get a nap.
I'm so sorry, Cody. I didn't mean to cut you off. What were you saying?
I was just telling Peacock. I said, grab one of these two, and then we can get a nap when we get inside.
and yeah, almost as you're kind of like saying, like, I need a nap, you see this middle-aged woman come out wearing some of the same like gang colors as the guards at the entrance. But she's wheeling like a gurney in front of her, essentially. She says, don't worry, there'll be time to nap. We just got to get these guys looked at. One of you guys, fucking Koji, go get another one of these. Get a fucking stretcher. And the guy she pointed at, presumably Koji, goes and grabs goes down, and just a moment later arrives again with another stretcher wheeled out up a access ramp. And you watch as they wheel Paradox and Sugar Bomb away down below. And Wakako looks back at both of you and says, all right, what are you waiting for? Come on down. I need to get you looked at too.
So I'll follow, but in while I'm walking in, I want to message Pan again to be like, hey, you may want to wait just a little bit longer. We had some King Tao AVs fly in over by the conductor building. I don't want you guys to get mixed up with that shit.
And Pan responds back, says, we saw them. Whatever the fuck spooked them, though, they took off faster than I have seen in some time. I don't think I've seen a retreat that quick from the zone maybe since before the Inferno. That was beautiful.
I'll just say, I'll send a message back. You're welcome, and also thank the Tiger Claws.
I'll be sure to say thank you when I've assessed the damage. Are there any patients that need immediate care that you saw?
Yeah, kids in my container, and I'll tell her the number for the container I'm in.
Roger. I'll let you know what's up as soon as I've assessed them and have them at my clinic.
All right, sounds good.
And so you walk down behind Wakako. So these gurneys are being wheeled in front of you all down a small concrete ramp that takes you like a story below street level into like this basement. As you walk in, it looks relatively ramshackle. Not that that's something you're not used to seeing. As a matter of fact, if anything, it's almost a little familiar to you, Celsius, because of Pan's. Pan's clinic looks very similar to this. Things hanging from the ceiling. There's just enough sterilization in the space that it's probably safe to get work done here. But it definitely looks ramshackle. It's a back alley clinic, and you could tell like this is pretty much where Wakako does all the work for the game.
As somebody who played a med tech, all surfaces utilized is very, very key.
Yeah, exactly. So they wheel the gurneys in and lock them into small wheel locks in the floor. And Wakako immediately starts running a bioscan on each of the people, and she says, "I've never seen something like this before. Holy shit." 2 units rapid detox, and one of the Tiger Claws runs back into a cabinet and grabs 2 air hypos out that she promptly administers to each of the patients. And she looks down at her agent, seeming to like monitor something on it with them. Says, "All right, I think they'll pull through." So now
I'll mention to her though that it is something that was absorbed through the skin, because I sort of know where it came from, just so they can make sure.
Yeah, and so she says, "I appreciate that. This should deal with the worst of it. We'll give them a decon as soon as they've stabilized, but both of you take a seat over there." And she points to a couple of more traditional like clinic chairs. Think like like that sort of dentist's lounger, if you will, where maybe you get some more minor cyber work kind of done. So she's got 2 of those kind of set up against the wall opposite where these 2 have been placed. Just take a seat. I'll have a look at you, see what I can do for you. So I want to hear the story. The hell happened to those 2?
You want to tell him, Peacock, or you want me to tell him?
I can give my best account. So this is Paradox, and I'm sorry, I'm just reminding myself, it's Paradox and Sugar Bomb.
Mm-hmm.
By my account, they both took a heavy dose of blue glass. You probably heard of it, or if you haven't, I don't know.
Seen my fair share of glass heads. Yep, they are a peculiar bunch.
Yeah, but this is not street level blue glass where you start hallucinating fairies and unicorns. This is something else. Not seen anything like this in my time ever.
So I'll cut Peacock off, point at Paradox and go, "That's our boss." Point at Sugar Bomb and go, "That's a friend of our now dead friend, who was captured by Biotechnica to make the drugs that they are now dosed with, that apparently were bought by the NCPD and, as far as we know, dropped on the combat zone."
Yeah.
Well, that's just music to my fucking ears. Okay, so novel toxins, some kind of blue glass contamination or spiking. They had the fucking gauntlet thrown at them. What was the rest of the zone like? Word is you guys peeled out of there like bats out of hell.
Yeah, word is the rest of the zone isn't doing much talking right now. We've got one of our medtech buddies headed over there now that the King Tao AVs are dealt with, thanks to you guys.
Don't thank me, thank Shinobu. He got word from Crash, passed it along to him, and said we owed you. So he's just paying it forward.
Well, we'll have to thank him in person later.
You'll have your chance. Meanwhile, and she preps to air hypos because I don't believe either one of you have received speed heal in the last 24 hours. Have you?
No, sir. Did.
Celsius, you might have actually.
I did. That's why.
So she med scans. You said, oh shit. Yeah, you've already been dosed. Okay. I got another thing for you then. Hold on. And she swaps the cartridge out for antibodies. Or not antibodies, antibiotics. And so this is gonna double your natural health regeneration for the purposes of resting. So it'll be twice your body instead of 1 time your body per day from this point forward.
Cool.
And then you, Peacock, get dosed with a round of speed heal. So this will recover your will plus your body immediately.
Will plus body, okay.
Yep.
I'll look over at her though and go, hey, what would do me a lot better, than a speed heal right now would be a new light armor jack. You got one of those laying around here?
I'm sure we've got something in an armory nearby. They've already arranged rooms for you at the Purgatory so that you can rest up in relative safety until we know what's going on. Word is Shinobu's already working his magic, getting the other leaders of the combat zones together. We're going to see what we can do to mount some kind of offensive. But if the NCPD really is behind this, then I just never thought they'd stoop that low.
Oh, I have proof. God. Just can't believe it.
Protect and serve my ass. So, with that, she injects you with drugs, and she says, have Koji reach out to some of the people. Or she actually looks over at Koji and said, Koji, get the dude a jack. You know where they are. Or if you don't know where they are, call ahead to the Purgatory, get him set up with something, have it sent to the room. And with that, she does her best to stabilize you both and administers not only the speed heal to you, Peacock, but also a round of antibiotics as well. So you'll regain double your body for the next however many days you spend resting.
Awesome.
Yep. So, with that, she says, well, if you don't have any other stories, fun things to share with me, I'm going to have you go on your way. It's just 2 blocks north of here. We've already got all our boys out on the streets. No one's going to fucking bother you. And if they do, they're going to end up like Swiss cheese full of lead. So, take your walk 2 blocks north to Purgatory. Rooms are waiting for you there. I'm sure they'll bill you for the light armor jack later. They'll find a way to get it out of you one way or another.
It works for me.
Miss Okada, you said you were going to go talk to the other leaders of the zone, correct?
Shinobu's arranging a meeting a few days from now. He wants to make sure you all can think and talk normally again before he just thrusts that down your throats.
Got it. Well, if you need it, and I'm going to share with her the file I pulled from the NetArch. Proof in case they need convincing.
So she looks it over with the practiced eyes of a medic, and she says, this is what they were dosing you all with?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I've seen some heinous shit in my time. This might take the cake.
Yeah. glad I got it. No, it wasn't easy, but we did it.
You did. Take your rest. You've more than earned it. And in a couple days here, there will be a meeting of the minds. Figure out what comes next. And with that, she goes back over to Sugar Bomb and Paradox and continues kind of administering what medical aid she can to them and sets up like a series of sensors on them. As you're kind of leaving, you can see her like working IVs into veins and things like that.
Cool. Let's get the hell out of here then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, Time Desk, what was in this concoction again? It was a biotoxin coupled with blue glass to disorient and slowly kill the person with neurologic shock. Good stuff. Yep. So, you guys make the short 2-block walk north to Purgatory. It's late in the night. They've long since closed to normal business. But there are a couple of rooms in the 3 stories above the bar that they rent out to typically VIPs or edge runners that need a spot to stay after something like tonight happened. And they, harbor people like you. Tonight, you get to take advantage of that hospitality. So you walk in, and where the bar normally is, there's a slightly more nicely dressed member of the Tiger Claws that looks up at you. One of her eyes is clearly like a raw cyber eye, and it glances at you with like this bright green sort of glow to it. And as she looks you over, she says, Celsius and Peacock-san, correct?
Yeah, that's right.
That's the one.
Your keys. And she hands each of you a key card. And she says, the amenities you asked for in your room. We hope your stay will be restful. We look forward to seeing you in a few days for the meeting.
Mm-hmm.
We'll just nod and head up to the room.
Thank you. And I'll do the same.
Yeah, and she gives you like a quick, polite bow as she kind of like shows you to the door that leads into the stairwell to the upper floors. Yeah, lets you both walk up. And when you find your rooms, they're relatively simple. They're nothing, terribly luxurious. But of course, for the kind of places you both have lived in the city, this is probably, again, a damn sight nicer than something that you would have normally. The room is relatively just simple, sort of like amber and black wood, or the synthetic equivalent thereof. Like amber lighting, and the beds are fairly comfortable. Each of your rooms has like a small fridge and like a microwave, along with a cough pop machine to allow you to, get some coffee in your system, or the caffeinated facsimile of it that cough pop is. But you probably only, both of you probably only want sleep, if I had to guess.
Yeah. I'd probably flop on the bed and pass out for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck, I need a nap. Just to reiterate.
Yeah, and so both of you, as you kind of like lay down, Peacock, you're out like a light. Is like the second you hit that pillow, it's like count to 10 and you're snoring. It's over. Celsius, you probably go down almost as quickly. Unless there's something that would intrude that for you, but I imagine after the day you've had and the fact that you've had your hand repaired.
I'd probably be waiting for a message from Pam, but I'd probably realize that won't come until the morning.
Yeah, no, and as you begin drifting off to sleep, your thoughts are of the children and everything. But yeah, Pan has not responded by the time you find that bed and conk out. So it's a good solid 8 hours of sleep minimum that each of you get as you wake up to the sun very much coming in through the window. I will roll us some weather really quick, just see if there's any other stuff kind of going on here. Let me do that really quick. And Ghost, I do want to thank you for being patient while we've kind of gotten through this opening segment here.
Oh no, I'm chilling. It's been great.
Let me see here. So I'm gonna roll.
I was gonna say you gave us enough time for one of us other characters to die too, so that would have been interesting.
Let me see. So we're looking
I know
at.
you guys decided to pick a fight with an AV, and I started to get scared. I was like, wait a minute, am I gonna have to wait till next session?
Nah. We're chilling. Oh my. Interesting. So, as you both wake up, you see the sunlight kind of coming through your window, and you hear the pattering of rain outside. Your agents both alert you to a weather advisory. That acid rain has come in and will be here for the next, forecasted to last the next hour, as it's begun to kind of fall over the city. But aside from that, you wake up feeling fairly well rested, and sore probably, but now your recovery can kind of begin. So you each have antibiotics, so each one of you will recover double your body in HP each day you spend resting. That said, I believe you'll need each of you about 2 days, I think, to fully recover. So
I mean, that's fine. Yeah, I got nothing better to do right now.
yeah,
I need a day.
yeah,
That's my thought process right now.
yeah, and you both can take your time, kind of feeling better. So with that said, let's take a quick zoom out and let's go over to Ghost. So Ghost,
And you did say it was what per day now? I'm sorry.
double your normal body per day.
Okay.
Yep. At least I'll double check that it's not more, but pretty sure it's double.
Hey, M,
What's up?
would it be all right for me if I took one day and then I got a speed heal the next 24 hours and I spent the 100 eddies? Or would that not be cool?
And I apologize. Antibiotic is just 2 extra points of health, so per day. So it'll be, what is that? So 7 is 9, and then Cody, I believe you're at 19, so
Yeah.
9, 18. So it'll be 3 days you would need, and then Peacock you would need 7.
I was in.
Yeah, so you'd be
19.
at 26, 33. So you need 3 days as well, actually. So
Okay.
both of you would need 3 days, unless you can, of course, go get extra doses speed heal. They just cost you in order to get that.
I'll take the 3 days because that actually perfectly equals 21
Yeah,
health.
awesome.
Now, when it says rest, does that mean I'm literally just confined to the bed, or does that mean I can still like go down and socialize at the bar?
Yeah, so it just means nothing more than light activity. So if you just take a walk downstairs and socialize, that's still light activity. You just can't go out and like do any like proper work or anything like that while you're resting. It's very much like, walk lightly and get fluids, all that kind of bed rest sort of stuff.
Cool.
But you're able to, like very lightly go socialize and do all that too. That's
Oh, cool. I wouldn't mind spending 3 days like that. That's not bad at all.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. So, with that, let us go over to Ghost. So, Ghost, I don't believe anyone but me knows who your new character is yet, right? No, you haven't told anyone?
Nope. I think there's Diamond's still here. She's heard a little bit.
Diamond's heard a little bit. Okay, very cool. So, so let me introduce with a scene, right? So you are sitting there at your desk, and you hear the chatter of some of your coworkers nearby, as one of them saying, "Yeah, man, they fucking gassed the whole zone. It was insane. You saw these people fucking choking. I haven't seen so many fucking upstarts get cut down so fucking fast. Those gonks, they couldn't breathe before it was all over. That was who was gonna threaten our shit. They were gonna threaten the fucking NCPD with that." And and you're just hearing, yeah, like this dude, in particular is a wonderful brand of troglodyte known as Sebastian. Sebastian is a little too full of himself for being a beat cop, but he takes special interest in the suffering of the old combat zone, as usually the detail he's assigned to is working the barricade or that neighborhood right nearby. So for him, he sees this and is like, "Oh yeah, no, these people are just getting fucked up." So you are sitting there though, and probably pondering what has happened. And you are stationed out of NCPD precinct number 1. So you're sitting there at your normal desk duty, probably filing paperwork for whatever you saw in your last, your last patrol. The couple of notable things that happened, probably really small shit, drug dealers doing shit they shouldn't have, 1 or 2 parking citations, random bullshit, right? Nothing exciting happened last night, and that was almost odd because it's never that quiet at night. And it's only this morning that you're beginning to see why, as N54 and the other screams have it plastered everywhere. Chemical explosion in old combat zone. Death toll rises to 213, continuing to go up.
So he's gonna finish or kind of rush through what paperwork he's got left, toss his badge into his desk, slam that shit shut, and go to walk out, kind of overhearing what they were talking about, and just not really shove him, but bump him roughly with his shoulder as he goes to walk out.
Hey, what the fuck?
Get out of the hallway then.
And yeah, and he just kind of he looks like he wants to start shit, and then he remembers that, of course, you, Rook, have a fucking linear frame and are from the SWAT team. And suddenly he forgets you're not just another one of these pathetic other desk jockeys. You're actually someone who could probably, if you wanted to, land his ass in the fucking dumpster outside. So he gets he begins puffing his chest out like he's gonna come and do something about it, until he recognizes exactly what that would mean for him, and then you can kind of see him sheepishly almost kind of back off and just says, "I could fucking take him," to whatever other idiots he's talking to.
Yeah, well, he's not worth the time to actually cause trouble. So hearing that they actually went through with it and all the mayhem that's going, I'm gonna go out, pick up pre-packed meals, and just hand them out to people.
Gotcha. Just so you're gonna go and hand them out to people where? Just so I'm clear on what
survivors huddled in corners, basically just walk around with a backpack of food, handing it out.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, and certainly, there's a couple people one of them actually, one of your partners, a guy by the name of Xavier. He's one of these people that you've confided in for a while. who sees the world in much the same way you do, and who is, most importantly, just as sick as you are of what the NCPD has become and how they've been handling this whole thing since the Inferno. And some of Xavier's contacts are the ones that, like get these kind of humanitarian aid packages put together and things like that. And as you are together, basically, because Xavier is, it's his car, basically, especially since you're now kind of more a desk jockey these days than really anyone would like. He starts driving you out, and he says, "So I assume you saw all the screams."
Yeah, I can't believe they actually went through with that shit.
Neither can I. I'm honestly ashamed to wear the badge. It didn't give me access to the other side of the wall right now. That it'd be my resignation up on the boss's fucking desk.
So what if we can get over the wall? What the fuck are we supposed to do? And he's gonna slam the dash.
Yeah. And he just kind of like looks back at the boxes of pre-pack behind you. He says that we can try and go in there and give the comfort we can. But I've been talking to a couple of other people, see eye to eye, not on the force, mind you, other people. I don't think I need to inform you about the Tiger Claws. Probably know who they are.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like they're having a little meet and greet with other people from the combat zones that are pretty fucking sick of what's been happening. No, I'm not saying we go to our own fucking precinct, shoot it up, and do anything crazy, but whatever these guys are planning, I got us a word in edgewise with leader of the Claws. Guy who calls himself Shinobu. So when we're done handing the aid packs out, you want to take a ride with me?
Yeah, we'll see what they have to say.
Okay. And with that, you can kind of see Xavier kind of like grip the wheel, close his eyes for just a moment, and like take a deep breath in and out. He says, "Well, let's get this next thing done." And he flashes up his ID at the guard near the wall that for the first time in probably a couple months doesn't have the fresh scars of last night's attacks on it readily visible. And a gate is dragged open and the car is allowed to pass through into the blackened remains of the west side of the old combat zone. And just like I've described for Peacock and for Celsius, you look around and hear quiet and see nothing but the husks of burned buildings and those buildings that were rapidly kind of evacuated by the attack the night before. And as you push in, there's a long line of people outside the Kabuki Hotel and Casino, one of the few places left in the zone that was not severely impacted by the attack. And outside, there's a whole line of people receiving what meager rations can be offered from the hotel and its inhabitants. And as you both pull up, mind you, the car that you're in is not marked as NCPD, and you know Xavier is smarter than that. So as you pull up and get out, what kind of outfit are you wearing? Because I assume you wouldn't be wearing your normal like police uniform. You'd be more plain clothes.
It was kind of straight out of the office, so it might be his kind of cleaner slacks, but pull his hoodie out of his carry-all and just kind of cover up everything.
Yep.
So that he's not openly flying the flag because nobody wants to see an officer out there right now.
Right. Yeah, you recognize the optics of that are probably not ideal. So as you both get out, each of you grabs a relatively large crate of like hyper compressed pre-packed meals that are they're essentially like MREs, right? Where they're these really like thin, almost like an envelope that has enough in it to like self-heat and cook and things like that. These are basically survival rations. And, you know, each of these boxes probably has a couple hundred in it. That would be enough to kind of add to the stockpile. Out front, there is a small, not small, but relatively like average sized, androgynous looking person wearing a typical sort of medical jacket that seems as though it's been dirtied and stained and probably hasn't been cleaned for some time. But they're the one kind of helping manage things. So as they see you walking up, she says, "Now, I don't obviously want to spurn help, but who are you?"
Nobody is better that way. Just enjoy the food.
And Xavier looks at you and he says what he said. "Don't worry, just a couple concerned strangers who want to help." And Pan looks in your direction and they say, "We haven't had anyone wearing clothes like yours for months. So, what? Just accept the food and move on? Do you know what happened here last night?"
Yeah, that's kind of why we're out here. People need this more than ever right now.
And go ahead and roll me a persuasion check.
Oh. Haven't rolled one of these with hope in a while.
Yeah, right. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's good. So she looks at you and you really do push like quite sincerely in your tone that like this is like we just want to help. And so even though Pan has kind of looked at you and they're definitely more like you could say kind of like dubious a little bit of like the fact that you might just be randomly swooping in to help. They look at the size of these crates and say, "Fine, yeah, we need the supplies, so put them back there." And they point to a wall where you could see a variety of other kind of provisions that they've been handing out, kind of stacked. Put it with the others. We'll make sure they get handed out to the people who need them.
Yep. Do that.
Yep. And so, yeah, you both move that back there. And ultimately, the crowd kind of like looks at you both with a wary gaze. And Pan, kind of accepting that you are there to help, has put them somewhat at ease. You notice there's less hostility in their gaze, but they still, you feel that weight of this crowd of eyes kind of like examining and evaluating like exactly who you are, what your purpose could be for coming to the combat zone and doing this, when it's very clear by your the clothes you're wearing and their cleanliness that you're not of the zone. You're not of any of the combat zones probably. You're definitely from across the line. So regardless of not being immediately identifiable as police, they definitely smelled that scent that tells them someone with better means than they have is on the scene.
Yeah, I'm gonna kind of lean into Xavier and say, they're all set. I think we should probably get going. We're getting some weird looks.
Yeah, let's go. And with that, he gets, you both get back in the car, and he pulls out and starts heading north toward Old Japantown. And he says, meeting's supposed to be later this afternoon. Club's name is Purgatory. Ever hear of it?
Yeah, a few times. Never been in there though.
Yeah, they don't like badges over there, but it sounds like after last night, things just got a little more desperate. So we're going to check in over there, see what they have to say. And hopefully, the end of all this will be one step closer to making sure that nothing like this ever happens again. So,
We can hope.
yeah. So with that, the drive is otherwise fairly uneventful. And being that Purgatory is just on the other side of kind of the border between the two districts, no one really bothers you. It's a quiet morning for the combat zone. And so as you two arrive, you step out of the car and you can see the bright colors of the Tiger Claw guards in front of the hotel as they kind of evaluate you. And one of them whispers something in his partner's ear, and you see him touch his ear where you can only presume a radio communicator is. And Xavier walks up to the one and says, "The boss and us have a meeting." So you tell him we're here, let us pass. We'll be out of your hair before it's uncomfortable for any of us here. And the Claw looks you over and hold on a moment. All right, guys. So sorry about that, chat. I was one of my cats decided to be making some concerning noises, so I had to go check it out before I could continue, because otherwise I'd be too worried about them. We were good though; they're fine. So, with that, so Rook, you and Xavier are looking at these two Tiger Claw guards, and Xavier's told him, you know, we have a meeting with your boss. You tell him we're here, we'll get out of your hair, and everyone can be comfortable again. And the Claw that had his hand up to a radio communicator looks at the two of you, and specifically at you, Rook, with a special kind of focus. And he says, "Boss agreed to meet with you, pig. Now you're fucking back up here."
I'm gonna step in close and just trust me, I'm more than the backup.
Is that so? Okay, little piggy thinks he can step with a fucking tiger.
And just as he's starting to flex, I want to try and jump on him and I just want to hold him in a choke.
Okay,
Just gonna
yeah.
see if I could slip him real quick.
Go ahead and roll me. Go ahead and roll me brawling. All right. So yeah, Rook, you immediately lunge for him, and you can see him like step into a stance to try and block the grab, but you're just quicker than he is and bigger as well. He does not have a linear frame, so you just run behind him and just grab him into the hold. Just and Xavier says, "Again, you tell your boss we're fucking here. We'll be out of your hair before any of us regret ever coming to this fucking hellhole." And you can see the Claw who's not grabbed kind of like look back and forth between you two. And he's just, ugh, fucking pigs. And he reaches up and grabs the comm, says, "Yeah, boss, got two live ones down here. One of them is that pig you wanted me with. Looks like you brought a little friend. And then he says, fine, all right. Yeah, he said he'll see the both of you. Let him go. And you could just see this guy just like...
Yeah, I'm just gonna kind of let him go, fix his shirt for him, and pat him on the back, just proving the point.
Fucking pigs. And with that, they kind of clear the way for you to walk up into the bar. So, with that said, you walk in and the bartender, again, that same kind of wary glance, looks you over, just says, Shinobu will meet you in our VIP room. And she walks you to the back of the bar to a very large kind of meeting room that is like a soundproofed conference table, essentially. As you enter there, there's already a couple of other people waiting. It's at this time in the concurrence of things that Peacock and Celsius, you're both notified by the hotel, essentially by the person at the bar, letting you know the meeting is due to commence here shortly. We've already had some guests begin arriving. Just understand that the new faces might be a little surprising.
Am I fully healed at this point? Because it's been enough time.
So we're partway through that healing right now, where there's just like a decision on what happens next. This would still qualify as light activity because they're just asking you to come down and meet with the group.
I gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. So, Rook, you and your partner, basically watching as some of these other kind of like rough, gang leader types kind of are entering into the room one by one. You see a relatively short woman with like tattoo knuckles, or knuckle tattoos that spell out Andersons. You've got a fairly tall looking, almost businessman like, where like if his suit was a little less you could say like frayed and things like that, you could almost mistake him for being some kind of corpo big shot. And most surprisingly, you see the face of a woman who has been on more than a few of the bulletins at the station. A woman by the name of Alexandra Thread, who you know goes by Electo, who has been on the city's most wanted list for a while now. Confidently just stride into the room and sit down. And go ahead and roll me a human perception, Rook.
Yep, sorry I'm muted all the time. I'm still getting over a head cold, so there's a lot of sniffles and sneezes I'm trying to keep covered.
No, I appreciate it. It's all good, dude. Absolutely no problem. Beautiful. So you can tell, like, Electo doesn't notice that you're NCPD, but you can tell her, like, written all over her face and her body is, like, barely contained rage. Like, she is angry in the extreme. And then with that, let me also just want to make sure I haven't forgotten any one of my notes here. Yeah. Okay, beautiful. And lastly, after kind of everyone else is there, you see these two walk in, Celsius and Peacock, with that same kind of swagger you've probably seen on a bunch of edge runners in your time. And you could tell like they've definitely been worn down a little bit. You can see fresh bullet wounds and like burns on their skin that are still in the process of kind of healing. But they each take a seat at the one end of the table as well, to kind of prepare for these negotiations. So after all of you have arrived, before we get to this next part, actually, Ghost, why don't you describe for us, what does Rook look like? Just so we have a good visual idea of what this man looks like.
Right now, since he's probably had a little bit more time to change to go to a meeting, it's probably very just I always pick such bland clothing because it's always generic chic. It's so hard to pin down generic chic when I think about it. But I always think
I always think of it as like, could you buy it from from Old Navy? If so, that's generic chic.
So yeah, like a white collared shirt tucked into blue jeans and then tucked into like nomad boots.
Fair.
That's probably the fit he's rocking currently.
Gotcha. Yeah, so you definitely you still even then look like a sore thumb, right? Because you're pretty much like the cleanest dressed in the room at that point, with the exception maybe of the more businessman looking guy. As the rest of you kind of sit down and kind of start looking through things, Celsius, Peacock, is there anything either one of you want to kind of say or address to any of the people in the room before we get things started?
I'll speak up and just say I know you guys have no idea who the fuck we are, but we're here to represent Paradox, who's currently hospitalized thanks to all this fucking bullshit.
And they look at you, they say, "Oh no, we remember you. We met with you before all of this got a lot more desperate." And
like out of game, of course, like I don't think I would know who Molly Anderson was at that point.
Probably not. You wouldn't have known her by name, but you recognize her. Like, her face is familiar to you at the very least, because there was a meeting earlier in the game. But Peacock, yeah, all these people are probably very new to you.
I'd like to chime in and say likewise, and seeing as I've worked with her closest, I represent Sugar Bomb of the Piranhas. So,
and Molly, at you mentioning that, looks back and she says, "I've wondered, how is Sugar Bomb doing these days? It's been a while since we've done biz with her."
It's better. She's alive as far as I'm aware. We brought her in, but it wasn't looking good there for a bit. Should make a recovery though.
It's good to hear. She made some good shit. Love to see her get back on her feet and actually be able to do what she likes again.
As would we all. Yeah.
And with all these people here, there's like a common thread in everyone's expression of just like attention. Everyone kind of is looking at each other as though, there's a degree of apprehension about like what comes next. Many of the members in the room you could see clear anger on their faces. And more than anything else, there's a overwhelming sense of suspicion for the two new faces in the room. With that said, after a few minutes of this kind of like back and forth and kind of pleasantries exchange, a man in a large, basically in a very well pressed and well manicured kind of traditional Japanese dress, this man enters the room and takes a seat at the head of the table, and he says, "My friends, and hopefully soon to be allies," and he glances Rook at you and Xavier at that mention. "Welcome to our little meeting figuring out what exactly we do about the fact that the NCPD has made their move on our homes, and they've chosen to poison an entire district to see their ends met. So with that said, I open the floor first and foremost to the two of you who were there last night. And he looks at you two, Celsius and Peacock. He says, "You saw what happened. Please share with us that we might better understand what we're up against."
I leave the floor to Cell.
Well, I'll let my friend share with you, if he so wishes, the proof of all this bullshit. But needless to say, the plant explosion was our doing, and it would be a lot worse had we not dealt with that in the first place. The shit they dropped, they were manufacturing over there at that black site, and it's not pretty. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know how many of you guys were out last night, but it's rough, man. I'm pretty hardened, you know. I've been doing this for a long time, and this shit's just underhanded.
I'll go ahead and chime in and say, when we raided the building, I went into their net arch, tried to dig up anything to support the gang, to get any information out, and it was the type of defenses you'd normally see in a corpo building, but me and a friend of mine made it through, and we managed to pick up this, and I'm going to send everyone there the file that I picked up.
Sure. Yeah, and agents have like an airdrop functionality that way. So
Perfect.
you essentially, you drop the file to everyone, and you see everyone who doesn't have an internal agent kind of pick their agent up and look at it. And the more technically inclined in the room, which become quickly apparent, their eyes kind of widen at what they're seeing, similar to Kako. And Shinobu even looks it over and says, "And they call it a rat extermination."
Penis.
Let's just hope that it's a pig extermination next. But I'll follow up with, and rest in peace to my buddy Blue. Normally these drugs would be perfect for partying, and Sugar Bomb knows this. That's why they had kidnapped her originally, to force her to give them the recipe to this madness, to build this concoction that they've worked on.
Our condolences to you. Losing a friend is difficult, to say the absolute least.
Friend and absolute comrade. The man was a hell of a shot, and made some very special grenades, which definitely are going to be missed.
He was a hell of a guy. He's, out of everyone to lose, his death hit me though very hard.
And with that, Electo, you can tell, like, she's got like one clenched fist on the table. She says, "Well, I mean, I believe in our original approach. I believe in the full body conversion program. We are this close. This fucking close. We have a couple of models ready to go. We can just get back to the workshop. We can start doing the things needed. Your med techs help us, Shinobu. We could have this ready to go inside of 2 weeks." And Rex looks back at her and says, "Electo, I've worked with you for a long time, but we don't have 2 weeks anymore. We're lucky if we have tomorrow. As far as I'm concerned, we hit them fast, hit them hard. We do what had to be done to save that poor man." And you can see he kind of like glances off to his side. What they did to Royal months ago. We nearly flattened that precinct back then. I have half a mind to do it right this time. And Molly kind of looks at him with an approving look and just says, "I just don't want to see more people die. I don't want to see our people get thrown into a meat grinder they weren't ready for. And with that, she kind of looks back at the two of you and our new friends here. What's your story? How do you come into all of this? I don't see you. I haven't seen you around here before. So, who the fuck are you? Why the fuck are you here?
Well, my name's Celsius. Oh, you talk about
Talking about
Rook.
Rook and Xavier, not you guys. No,
Okay.
she knows you well enough to know that you're good people. She doesn't
Good.
trust the two well-dressed gentlemen across the table from her.
Well, people call me Rook. I like to think that I do what I can for the people around here, and after seeing what the fuck happened last night, we've got to do something to push back. It can't go on like this.
So on that, we at least agree to a point. That doesn't explain, however, why two well-dressed fucking suits would walk in to a meeting of the minds in a combat zone. So again, who the fuck are you, and who do you, more importantly, represent?
I represent myself, and I mean, why would you let us in here if you didn't need us here in the first place?
Look, I didn't agree to anyone. This is all Shinobu's idea. So Shinobu, why the fuck are they here? And Shinobu kind of gives a glance in both your direction, and then glances back to address Molly. He says, Molly, these are representatives of a group of, let's call them concerned citizens, who don't agree any more than we do about the methods being used to treat the problems of the combat zone that they perceive. These men speak for themselves and maybe a small group of co-conspirators, nothing more. They're from the other side. And Molly just kind of is like looking at you with like this mix of concern and mistrust. Like she doesn't trust what you are or what you're there to do, what you represent. But she kind of like holds her tongue beyond that. And so Shinobu looks back at the other end of the table to Electo and to Celsius and Peacock and says, I agree with my other friends here that the time for 2 weeks is a long time. With what we've just seen happen, that is too long. So tell me, what are we to do? If you would say we need 2 weeks, tell me why it's worth it for us to wait that long. When we could take the fight to them, I don't know, 3-4 days from now, with the strength we already have.
I'd like to chime in.
Mhm.
I'm gonna hear what Molly is saying, and I'm gonna just think about it. Just kind of think the whole situation over, and I look at her and I tell her, according to your colleague, a few months back, you say that you can take the NCPD because during a previous skirmish you were able to take them on with minimal casualties, and I think that's a fair assessment. However, I feel that the situation at hand has changed because the NCPD has now entered a new realm of warfare that they have not previously entered into, at least to my knowledge. They are employing now chemical warfare. We don't know, and we've only seen one facet of this. who knows what else they have. I just don't feel it's wise to enter the wolves' den when we don't even know what else they're packing after the display they showed last night, or a few nights ago at this point, right?
It'd be last night. As of now,
Last night.
It's last night. Yeah, like I said, we're kind of like partway through that recovery time for you at the moment.
Got it. Okay, just clarifying.
No, totally. And so she looks at you and says, "Okay. So what are you proposing exactly? That we wait to see what else they have in store, or?"
I think Electo's idea has some measure of truth to it. The FBCs would guarantee us not only a effective measure of defense against a measure of defense and offense against the NCPD, but it's also sustainable. We would have a way to fight back that would be sustainable and couldn't be taken from us. However, I do think her plan, no disrespect to you, Electo, is missing a few key elements that I'd like to bring up. For one, to the NCPD's knowledge, the combat zone is effectively wiped due to their attack. If my guess is either the people of the old combat zone now are broken. I don't think that they will expect that someone will be back in the same area to finish what they started. However, that would require that we are able to keep under the illusion that the old combat zone is not being used anymore as a base of operations. If we can guarantee that, I think that would give us the 2 weeks we would need.
So we get
That-
Electo and the techs back there and have them work quietly.
Yes. Or there's another option. We relocate them. We would somehow have to relocate everything in there. I don't know if that would be feasible, but if we could get them somewhere safe, that would be another option.
So Electo starts like looking down, and like you can tell she's like counting stuff up on her hands, and she says that would require moving a lot, and I mean a lot of heavy equipment, not to mention the FBCs that we've half finished, the components that make them up, all of the various bits of complex heavy machinery that we've used to assemble them.
Mm-hmm.
Relocation adds time. 2
This is
weeks
true.
assumes that we have access to that workshop, working around the clock for the next several nights, and then all the time needed to do the proper operations with the med techs that we have at our disposal, and getting that all situated. 2 weeks is quick. That is the fastest that we can turn this around, because everyone who's getting one of these on, they need to go through therapy. They need to understand what is going to happen to them. And most importantly, we need to make sure that because we aren't using manufactured frames, these were all technical work done by us from the ground up. We need to make sure everything's functioning correctly. If we're going to do all of that right, the fastest we can do this is 2 weeks.
I understand. I was just giving my thoughts on what I felt would be the wisest option.
Diamonds eats popcorn, so borrowed time. And Rex kind of looks at Electo and just says, look, my resources after the Inferno have been problematic. Accessing them has been challenging, to say the least. However, I have enough resources in reserve, scattered among my various little hides throughout the city, that if we were to bring to bear everything that we have to muster, I would offer my support to the attack in its fullest. The last time we set this operation together, it was a break-in, get royal breakout. That was the entire operation. It was designed not to level the building, but to rescue a dear friend. A dear friend who, I remind everyone that is here right now, is now dead because of his involvement in this scheme. I would be lying if I said that didn't bear a large weight on my conscience. So what I'm asking is that we take decisive action. I bring to bear every asset at my disposal and ask you all do the same. But I stand by what I said, that we do not have 2 weeks left available to us. We are at the point where it is due or quite possibly die.
Celsius, what do you think of this?
I think Rex has a point. We don't have 2 weeks to wait it out for the entire thing, but why not hit him where it hurts first and weaken some key points before we walk in there and just take them out with the FBCs? They won't be able to recover. It'll be a clean sweep.
Okay.
And
So
go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm gonna go ahead and say okay, but let's talk about this then. So we would go to the local precinct and just what then? Just massacre?
I'm saying why don't we spread them thin?
And
Why don't we-
Shinobu kind of looks and he says, if I could, for a moment, you two are specialists in this. And he looks, Rook, at you and Xavier. You two are what you might call specialists in this particular type of work. Say that we wanted to saboteur the precinct. What then? Is it doable?
It's definitely doable. Depends on what precinct you're trying to do, how far you're trying to send them back.
Precinct number 1. The only one that matters in this little conflict of ours.
And could I, try and think out, some sort of plan of attack that would, at a time where there would be the least amount of people in there to just level the building and make it, or at least make it unusable for the next couple of weeks?
Go ahead, roll me your choice of tactics or a technical skill like demolitions, maybe, that would be used for sabotage.
No, I'm gonna go for a gamble on thematics, say tactics, and sink my 2 luck.
You got it, dude.
Let's go.
Hopefully it'll at least spitball a good plan.
Mm-hmm. Because you can kind of think about it and your knowledge of the... Okay. So you aren't aware of the structural weaknesses of the building to the extent that you would be able to figure out the best way to get people in and try to sabotage things. You could, if you would roll demolitions instead to kind of because tactics is more how do you make the approach. Demolitions might be actually more structural weakness and things like that.
Yo, let's see. Exact same role.
Same kind of thing, yeah. And yeah, I mean, this is not your specialty.
It's good. Like I said, just throwing out the ideas and the information that I have for the gang heads to work with.
Yeah, and Xavier is going to roll tactics as well because he is a little more like tactically minded because he is more of a commander, and he actually rolls very well. Honestly, that surprised me. So he looks at kind of as you're trying to present something, and he says, "I think I know of a way that we could get people in. Now, your techs may have to do some identity on what exactly would be a good spot to set up charges or however it is you all decide to do it. We'll leave that to your discretion. But Rook here could probably sneak some people in the back door. That said, once you're inside, we can only point where the defenses are. There's not going to be much that we have power over to cut them off, prevent people from coming after you. So it's going to be entirely your decisions and your preparations that will carry you through this."
I hear Xavier say all this, and I just kind of had a flat face, and I hear, "Oh, you can get us through the back door without raising alarms," and I'm just gonna crack a little smile. It's like, do tell me more. The point of the defenses was, I mean, I'm gonna look at Cell and I'm gonna say, that might just work.
This guy gets us in. You shut down the power, maybe disable their vehicle bay. I think we'd be pretty set as long as we had some, big guns inside, and I'll sort of flash my sniper on my back.
If I'm in there and I can get a hold of the power, I might be able to decommission the mortar system remotely.
Now, one thing, Rook, that you do know is the mortars weren't directly owned by the NCPD. Those were Kang Tao. But the NCPD is working with them. That is something you do have the knowledge of. So I'll let you kind of determine how you want to present that, if at all, but there is some knowledge you have being on the inside. The Kang Tao was actually the ones who fired the mortars.
So it's like the NCPD set up the stations for like the safe haven where Kang Tao would set up their little zones to bombard from.
Right. Yeah, they turned a blind eye and maybe made sure people weren't anywhere nearby if they could help it. Like in the area of like where they were launching from. But yeah, they really did was act as like a barricade. Kang Tao pulled the trigger.
No, I'm just going to let the generic hatred flow through because he feels just as betrayed because by them basically giving the stamp on that, they may as well have had officers launching those.
Sure. Totally fair and feasible. So are you letting the group know about that, or?
Nah, I'm sure it'll come up later anyways.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful.
It's irrelevant. Kang Tao will get their comeuppance, I'm sure.
Sure.
So we have our plan of attack, and I'm gonna look back at Rex. Will that work for you? Could that give you a window of opportunity?
And you can see Rex kind of like scratching his face a little bit as he's like thinking through the particulars of this and like what assets he has. And after a moment of him kind of like rubbing his face and trying to like think about this, he says, "I think I have a few things, some people in mind. I think I can supply you with some of what you'll need, as well as an old friend, a tech. Electo, if you want to pursue the FBC project, that's fine. Just understand that once we start down this path, you better be able to deliver, because when the NCPD figures out who did this, and mark my words, I have no doubt that they'll know who did this. Might take them a few weeks, might take them a few months, but eventually there will be the other shoe dropping. When it does, we'll need those FBCs up operational, flawless. And Electa looks back at him and just says, okay, I can do that. So Rex says, I will support this then with one of my own techs. A man by the name of Sparks. He's a little on the older side. He's a little bit eccentric, but he ran a tech shop next door to the Inferno for a very long time. And he supplied all manner of runners with the things they needed and the work they needed done, and he swore off field work a long time ago. But if Electo's role is to get the FBCs up and running, it's probably the next best tech you could have in there with you.
It's music to my ears. Oh. Cool. We have a plan.
We have a plan. And so Shinobu looks over everyone, says, all right, any other words of wisdom, objections, anything that anyone needs known before we all go do our part and start this process of bringing down an entire NCPD precinct?
There's one thing. If I know we're trying to take out as many of these fucking pigs as possible, and I'll look over at Rook and his buddy and go, excuse me, but you know, it's hard to differentiate. But if we were to distract them from the area before we went in and guarantee there was less of a response, would there be a way that any of you here at this table can take care of that?
Rex kind of thinks a little bit about it, and he says, well, most of this crew deals on this side of the police line. I may have a few favors I can call in. Just a little bit of chaos. I may have one or two corporations that owe me a favor. Well, they owe my corporation a few favors. I think I'll call those in.
Yeah, the less we have to deal with, the better. So I don't know if you can tell, but I'm a little beat up after these last few days.
Yeah. It'll take, and Rex says it'll take me a few days to gather what's needed anyway. Take the time that I need to do that. Everyone else rest, prepare, get things ready as you will. Give me 3-4 days tops. And on the other side of this, we will knock the entire precinct down if we have our way.
Alright, then if you'll excuse me, I'm going to go back to my room and try to sleep off all this pain.
I will
right.
follow suit. I'm so hurt.
All right. And Shinobu says, very well then, meeting adjourned. You all know your roles. Get to it. And with that, everyone in the room kind of stands up and begins to depart. So, with that said, Peacock and Celsius, you both, go back up to your rooms and continue kind of resting and things like that. And Xavier, Rook and Xavier, you both would get up and kind of head back to the car outside and head to move back across the police line. Is there anything that anyone wants to mention or do now that the meeting itself is kind of adjourned? information gathering, things like that.
On the ride back, mainly, Rook's just gonna be like, "What the hell did you just get me into?"
Xavier
We're
just
talking
kind
about
of
the
glances
whole
at you and
place.
just says, "I just want us to be on the right side of fucking history. That's all."
Fuck, June, fair, but still.
Look, you and I both know that what happened last night is beyond the pale, even more than usual. And this isn't the first time the NCPD has overstepped their bounds.
Yeah, and that's for the brass to pay for. They're the ones who made the call.
So, are you saying that you'd rather not be part of something like this?
Well, we have to do something. Just we'll see how it goes.
I mean, if you have any brighter ideas, I'm here to hear them.
It seems to be the way it has to be.
All right. You don't have any better ideas then? We're going to go forward with this one. And yeah, then he continues. He's the whole time you're driving, but after that, it gets noticeably more quiet. As you can tell, he's lost a little bit in thought while driving to like piece together what comes next. So Celsius Peacock, I know you're kind of resting for the next 2 days. Is there any kind of preparation or information gathering you guys want to do?
Well, I am very interested in Sparks, but I don't know if I'm able to go do that right now, or in the time I have allocated to me.
It just depends on kind of how you want to kind of navigate that. Like, are you looking to just get information about him, or are you looking to actually go meet him?
I was just gonna go straight up meet him.
Okay.
Because I hear runner gear and I'm like chomping at the bit at this point.
Yeah.
Would I be healed to full now? By the way, do I have 3 days?
Yeah,
And then some.
and Rex said that he needed probably like 3 or 4 days to get everything together. So
Bet.
he was gonna message you all when the time came.
Awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, but if Cody, you want to do anything,
Yeah.
I'll let you go first.
Honestly, I'd probably just be up and down to the bar, just trying to see if I hear anything in particular about any runners that would be experienced enough to want to go in with us. And if I did hear anything, I'd probably try to see if they want to help us out.
Sure.
Yeah. And I could text Crash too if you want me to. But I don't know if she'd be willing to.
I think she'd probably be a little bit gun shy after the last one.
Yeah, I'll give her a break then.
So the one thing that happens, Celsius, is maybe an hour after that meeting concludes, you do get a message finally from Pan. And they say, so I'm gonna start with the good news. The good news is the survivors that we did find at the building, they're stable. They're okay. But on the other end of that, the toxins they were using, they wanted people dead. They wanted people dead for sure. And there's some significant damage to their respiratory systems, their central nervous systems. I mean, we're talking things that might require a lifetime of therapies, or on the other end, some very expensive, very difficult to access kinds of surgery and cyberware. So I wish I had better news, but you can at least rest easy that if not for your intervention and, you know, stabilizing them in the best way you could, there's no doubt in my mind that all of these children would be dead. So you've given them a fighting chance.
I'll tell you that I'm not the only one that's given them a fighting chance. They fought pretty hard themselves, I'm sure, but this isn't something that they'll take lightly either. Once they're able to comprehend it, I'm sure that'll just build more bones of hatred towards the NCPD and the vileness of this city as they grow older. They'll be great runners, and I'm sure they'll recover nicely over time.
I only hope you're right. They're still asleep right now. I've kept them unconscious, sedated, but I'm going to be bringing them out in the next few days just to make sure they're given enough time to really let my treatments that I have been able to provide take hold. But yeah, their lives aren't going to be normal. They're going to need help.
I'll chuckle a little bit and go, their lives were nothing but abnormal before this, and we've got friends in low places that probably could help out with the special things that they would require over time. So there's not much of an issue there. And if it's Eddie's that it requires, I'm not opposed to helping.
All right. I'll let you know when I'm going to pull them out. So if you want to come on by, you are more than welcome.
We're a little busy, but the older one, I left a message on her agent. She knows who to contact.
All right. All the same, I'll let you know.
Thanks, Pan. Appreciate you more than usual.
No problem, Chum. And with that, they disconnect the call. So, with that said, yeah, is there anything further you want to do as far as information gathering or things like that?
No, like I said, I'll probably be up and down to the bar just to, not get, claustrophobic in my room for too long, even though I'm used to a container, It's just one of those things.
Sure. Well, yeah, especially after having, like, the reason you're here is not a good reason. So it definitely, yeah, it makes sense that you'd be like, okay, I just want to not be in an unfamiliar place. Bars, you understand. Clubs, you understand. A foreign room that's not your home, that's a little bit weird. So, go ahead. If you're keeping an eye out for edge runners and, like, trying to convince people, go ahead and roll me a streetwise check, Cody.
I'm not going to be good at this roll, and I don't remember where it is on my sheet.
It's on the
There.
right side.
Yeah. How about as streetwise as the lamppost, I guess.
Yeah. So yeah, you keep an eye out for the runners and things, but you recognize that there is a degree to which this is going to be a very sensitive mission, right? Japantown's not locked down in the same way as the old combat zone was, and you know that there's enough prying ears and eyes potentially that could be present that, like, you have to be absolutely 100% sure the people that you're even going to mention something like this to. And you don't really find anyone meeting that bar when you're kind of looking around and trying to evaluate people who might be helpful.
Yeah, I think everybody pretty much needed was going to be in that room.
Yeah, or at the very least, they know the people that would help you at that point.
Yeah.
But Peacock, was there anything you wanted to do at that point?
So there's a couple of things actually.
Okay.
So one thing is Sparks. Remind me exactly what Rex said about Spark.
Sparks is a little bit older. He's a little bit eccentric, but that he ran a tech outfit just next to the Inferno, the old Edgerunner club that Royal ran, right up until his untimely death about a month ago. And Sparks was the kind of the local tech that helped Edgerunners at that club get what they needed, invent things that needed inventing, and largely kind of managed their technical inventory as well. So like if they needed guns made, or if they needed guns stowed and distributed to Edgerunners for operations and things like that, he was like the Inferno's slightly older and crazy Q. If Inferno is anything resembling an MI6.
Yeah. Okay. And then, in addition to that, I'd like to bring something up from a couple sessions ago. How far are we from the intersection of Salinas and Sicily?
That's a great question. You're maybe a mile northwest of there.
I see. Okay.
Quick cab ride over, basically.
Quick cab ride over. How suicidal am I feeling? That's really my question. I could ride over there because that just popped into my mind because we're in Japantown.
You are.
And I'm like, it's there. I know it's there. We're near it. We have a big ass operation coming up. Would be nice if we had a runner who is more than worth their salt, or whatever they are. Fuck. I'm gonna actually meet up with Celsius at some point. I want to meet up with him, and I just want to say, like, I want to text him like, hey, can I talk to you about something?
I mean, I'll message back. So yeah, can it be over text, or do you want to, meet, or what's going on?
Let's meet. This is let's just say that the walls have ears with this one.
Well, shit. Where are we meeting?
Purgatory. Just the bar. Just come on down.
All right. I'll be down in a minute.
Beautiful. Yeah. So you both meet, and what time of day, Peacock, are you trying to like have this meeting?
Noonish, I figure.
Okay. Yeah, the bar is, as you might expect, midday, relatively empty, aside from the usual kind of like tire claw traffic, since they kind of own the place. There's a couple of them kind of hanging around, but as for like rando Edgerunners, aside from like one or two that are meeting with fixers near the back of the bar, there's almost no one else in here.
Got it. So I'm gonna take a seat next to Cell, just sit next to Cell.
I'm definitely getting somewhere. I'm still a little sore.
Got it. And I'm gonna meet up with you and say, hey, listen. I was gonna keep this to myself just because it didn't seem important at the time, but I met up with a guy in the combat zone, Jigsaw, his name is, I don't know if you know him. Told me about this urban legend. Now, bear with me for a second. I know sounds ridiculous, but hear me out. Does the name Recluse mean anything to you?
Cody, could you roll me just a raw d10?
Yeah, one sec.
Recluse doesn't actually mean anything to you.
Yeah, doesn't ring a bell. Sorry.
It's okay. Apparently, out of the intersection of Salinas and... Sorry, let me pull up my notes. Salinas and Sicily, there's an urban legend of a netrunner who can get into any system. Doesn't matter what. They don't know. No one knows if they're a runner, if they're a corp, if they're a rogue AI. I don't know, but I go onto the net, I see stories of people going near that intersection. They disappear. I don't know, man. If there's a time to look into it, now is the time. That's why I'm telling you this.
I mean, you telling me you're gonna go there and disappear? Because I can't exactly get on those wires like you can.
I'm just letting you. I'm mainly asking you because I don't trust my judgment with this one.
You want me to stand there and look at you while you're all wired in, or this is
No, I'm asking you what I should do. If you think this is something worth pursuing, or if I should leave this alone.
Look, if you think it's a good idea, then it must be a good fucking idea. I mean, look what we're into now. It's not like it's the simple, protection or the wipeout as we normally go into. I don't know what you've been up to before you joined this crew, but shit, dude.
Not this, man. Not this. I'm thinking of going into it.
You think it's your level of crazy? Then by all means, do it. I don't know how much I'm going to be of use. Shooting people on the net isn't exactly my thing, nor is it really possible.
Yeah, if you don't, I don't blame you if you don't want to come. It's like you said, it's not exactly your area, and
I mean, what the fuck even at this intersection? Is there a fucking cafe? Is there something I can sit at? Because damn, I'm not going to sit on the fucking curb and wait for your ass.
Apparently I just am supposed to jack into this net arch and they appear.
You would know, Peacock, that this is an old shopping center, essentially. That the arch has got an outdoor kind of access node near one of the entrances. But that's all you know about it. It's an old shopping center that no regular business is done at anymore, save that handled by Recluse.
Yeah, it's some old shopping center. No business operates out of there. But I don't know, man. I feel like this is something I should do.
Well, I mean, I'm not gonna just let you go alone, but shit. All right, I guess I'll have to find something to investigate while I'm there, or at least not get into too much trouble.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. When do you want to go?
You're asking me? I mean, I could sleep for another 3 or 4 days until we're ready to take care of this precinct, but whenever you're ready to go, I guess.
Right. Let's get this sooner rather than later. And I'm gonna say let's just go now. Let's go and just get it out of the way. Maybe nothing will happen.
Could even be a boat.
Could even be a boat. Let's do it.
Beautiful. All right. So with that, so you guys, so I assume since this is your plan, Nyla, you're gonna be paying for the cab to get down there.
Sure. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, you better be.
It's 20 eddies is all you need to pay to get down that direction.
Oh no, my savings.
Oh no, your savings. Oh god, it's a 20. Jesus.
I apparently saved to help rehabilitate for 5 children, so you better fucking pay.
So, you both get in the cab, and when you get in and the cabbie asks you, where are you going? And you tell him, he looks back at you with eyes, says, I mean, there are way cheaper ways if you want to just fucking walk off the edge of the earth and die. You sure?
I'm never been more sure of anything in my life. Now let's get going.
Your fucking funeral, Chum. And with that, he punches it into the dash nav and starts driving. He drops you off just about a block away from it. And he just says, well, this is you out. Best of luck, I guess. Hopefully I see you to take another fare from you on the other side. And once he gets your payment, he just kind of lets you out.
All right. Let's do this.
Beautiful. So
Find this.
Yeah, so
There
you
you go.
walk down the street just a short distance here. And unlike, the rest of Old Japantown, which is a fairly colorful, vibrant district, this is one of those spots there that's unusually quiet. And it's unusually not populated, right? There's a couple of like random kind of like boosters and kind of homeless people that are sticking their heads out around dumpsters and things like that as they hear the cab kind of drive off. And they quickly kind of look the other way when they notice you both walking toward this shopping center.
Yeah.
As though they don't want to be witness to what comes next. So with that in mind, you approach and you see, as you walk up to this glass door, you see plastered all over the door and the boards that are kind of barring you from entering. You just see building condemned, outsiders not allowed, trespass will be treated as a aggressive action and be met with mortal or with deadly force.
Mm-hmm.
So very clearly there is signage here that like even walking into the place would potentially be a death sentence. Go ahead and roll me a scanner check.
Yeah, and on the way there, I'm gonna go ahead and roll this, but I'm just gonna turn to Selma and I'm gonna be like, "Hey, just in case I die, are the kids okay? Do you know?"
They're alive, according to Pan, but I wouldn't exactly call them okay.
But they're alive. That's good. It's a
Yeah.
miracle.
That's just the 5 of them we know about. Who knows where the rest of them are?
Hopefully they're okay.
So Peacock, just like any other net architecture, there is a access point, a small port on the one wall, and next to it you kind of see what appears to have at one point been some kind of ATM that is fitted with pneumatic tubes. And it has no markings on it, no indication of what corporation owns or owned it. But you notice that this access port is directly next to this mechanism. So whatever this is, you have a feeling that's probably what you're jacking into.
Yeah, I nod over to the ATM and I say, "Well, that's my figurative portal to hell."
I guess I'll sit my ass down by this fucking machine and wait.
Yeah, and
We'll see.
there's like a bench just next to it, essentially, Celsius, where you can kind of chill out.
Also, I'll just look at Peacock and go, well, if your hair catches fire, I know what to do.
Appreciate it.
All right. So, this I think I'm gonna flip over to a little bit of Carl Casey because that just captures the vibes here a little more in line. So
This is exciting. Sorry.
no, you're good. I'm glad because I love Recluse. They're an awesome character. So you said you're gonna jack into this thing?
Deep breath, then jack in.
Beautiful. So you dive onto the network here, and as you land on the top level of the net, you're presented with kind of like a highly desaturated, it's like a liminal space. It looks like an old abandoned mall where most of the fixtures have kind of been stripped away and the color is faded into this almost grayscale. And presenting in front of you is a small bit of paper. Text on it is just shifting in all kinds of different directions incomprehensibly. You recognize this to be a file.
But it's encrypted, I'm assuming.
Yep.
So that would be cryptography? if I wanted to try decrypting it?
ID would work as well.
ID would work as well. Okay.
Mhm.
Perfect. So, I mean, 3 net actions, so I'm just gonna go ahead and res up armor. Just, you never know, right? Res up armor, res up, I mean, I'm not in combat, right? So
No.
I could I just res up all my boosters, theoretically?
So you scanned, you jacked in, you res armor. So that'll be
Mhm.
3. It's not combat, but
But they have a,
Recluse has her net actions too.
right.
All right. So
Okay.
you hear a voice that's like cold ice on the back of your neck. Almost like it's echoing from around the space that you see through your virtuality goggles. You just hear, "It's been a while since I've had a visitor. Who are you? I don't recognize you." And you hear this like clicking noise as something seems to be like scurrying above your head on the ceiling.
I just respond, my name's Peacock, and I think I might need your help.
Well, my help doesn't come cheap.
Yeah, I
So
know.
state your terms. What is it that I can help you with?
I'm like visible.
Yeah.
Peacock's like visibly uncomfortable.
Yeah, no, and I mean this is the ghost story. You're in it.
Yeah. If I can give you a little bit of backstory, and then I'll let you'll have the full context. 3 nights ago, the old combat zone was flooded with a chemical reagent, a hallucinogen mixed with a biotoxin. We have it on good authority that the ones behind this was the NCPD, Kang Tao, working alongside Biotechnica. We can't. The whole combat zone can't take another attack. And I want your help to help me stop them. To stop these attacks so that no one ever has to endure it ever again.
An altruist. I hope you know that people like you don't live very long in a city like this.
I'm here, aren't I? Must be doing something right.
That remains to be seen.
If it's Eddies you want, I can get you them. You're also free to refuse, and I understand, and I walk away. And this is...
And with that kind of last like, you hear that clitter, the kind of like clicking sound again. And all at once you see the form of this large recluse spider descend in front of you down the wall and stare at you, kind of just like slowly blinking its 8 eyes. And it says, "Eddie's is a start. What I'm curious about is, what do you want me to do for you?" You haven't gotten to that part.
What I was imagining is we have a plan to take care of NCPD. That's our front. But we have two other fronts we need to worry about, Kang Tao and Biotechnica. We know Kang Tao has locations around the old combat zone in which they fire their mortars of chemical reagents. And that's where you come in. I want you to dive into those nets and destroy those launchers.
Take out their weapons.
Correct.
I mean, I'm inclined to say yes. But I'll be honest, I was hoping for something more exciting. To do that, that's child's play. It'll cost you a pretty 2,000 eddies. And I'll do it.
Mm-hmm.
But Mr. Golden Boy over here, I think creativity is something you might need to work on a little bit.
You think so?
You're gonna last with that heart of gold. I know so.
I'll keep that in mind. I appreciate the advice. So do we shake on it? Oh, go ahead.
She just says one runner to another. There's not many good ones left in the city. Not many who'd brave coming down to little old me to see what I could do for them.
I just kind of, I give a little chuckle. And, to be 100% honest with you, I come to you with a good reason. But if I can be honest, I also just wanted to see the legend.
Legend. No one's called me that in a while. Well, I can make it happen. I can make it happen.
It's wonderful.
I might.
2,000. Oh, God.
I can do that for 2,000. I might. You want to throw a little more in, say another 1,000. Might know a couple of other interesting details, given what I think I know you and yours are about to try.
Mm-hmm.
So information is also on the table for sale. You want it.
I'm going to think for a second.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to say, if I can be so presumptuous, and maybe one day, I'd like to say we're future colleagues. So, I'm going to go with my judgment, and I'm going to say, yes, I don't think you seem the type to give me bad information. You know good information when you see it, and you have a reputation to uphold.
I'm glad that maybe that heart of gold doesn't necessarily mean your brain is totally rotten. Good. Maybe you'll survive a little longer than I thought. And as you see the eddies kind of transfer over, you see her begin spinning a small kind of strand of web in front of her that quickly kind of reshapes itself with like almost this shimmering quality into another file, which she hands over to your avatar in the net. And she says, what you'll find in there is a list of access codes. Things I've come by here and there. Flies have fallen into my web. A couple of them are kind of pig-shaped, if you know what I mean. they like to talk a lot more freely when you, let's say, entice it just right. Tell them the things they want to hear. Threaten them with the things they don't. End of the day, they're willing to give you all kinds of information. So what I give you here is what I understand are the master codes to their network. Passwords, access to various keys. I mean, take some of this to a tech. They can fabricate you falsified key cards, IDs, the whole lot. Make you look real nice and official and pig-shaped like the rest of them.
It's good to know my gut is as reliable as it always is.
I know a
I'd
lot
say
of
that-
people. My web is a very wide cast one.
Got
So
it.
don't make me regret it. You didn't hear any of this from me.
Don't worry. I'll be caught dead before I say anything to anyone.
Good. And with that, the spider begins crawling up the wall and says, well, if our business here is concluded, I've got a couple corporations to research, flies of a kind to drag precious data out of.
Well, good luck, and I'm gonna just go ahead and safely jack out.
I don't need the luck, but you do. And with that, yeah, your jack out command goes through.
Fuck, she's right.
Uh, all right. So Celsius, you look as Peacock kind of lifts his virtuality goggles off his face, and his hair's not on fire. So whatever he said and did, it's all looking good so far.
I have, and so I have the biggest, stupidest grin on my face.
I'll just look at you and go, well, did you meet your friend?
Oh, I did a lot more than that. And I think we ought to pay the tech friend of ours that Rex mentioned a little visit.
So me not knowing how the net works, I'll just look at the ATM he jacked in next to. I'll give it a friendly fist bump and go, thanks. And I'll walk.
Sorry.
And you hear this like old kind of old-timey computer just bloop, and then on the screen you see this like pixelated like 8-bit thumbs up, and it just says, "You're welcome, Choom. Thanks for your business."
All right, let's skadoodle. I survived. That's what I'm happy about.
Oh man.
I'll credit that to the fact you didn't try to just jump down their net.
Hey,
Yeah.
Listen. I don't dive into anyone's net without taking them to dinner first. But yeah, I have a little file that I want to take to the tech. It's on my agent, right?
Yeah, you would have probably loaded it directly to your agent, was my assumption.
Yeah, I know exactly.
Yeah.
And did Rex ever tell us how to get to Sparks?
He did mention that he used to have a workshop down by the old Inferno. You could probably reach out to him though and ask if you're looking to meet up with him.
Yeah, I just wanted to get I'll fling him a babble and just say, hey, I got something your tech tune might want to see. Could you fling me the chords?
Yeah, he's got slightly smaller workshop, a little closer to Purgatory these days. Inferno's not the same it used to be, as you might understand, but go look for him here. And yeah, he pings you a pin that's about 3 blocks from Purgatory to the east. So again,
Perfect.
from where you are now, it's probably another cab ride to get there. But once you're done there, you can walk home, basically.
Is there an option for me to select my cab driver?
You could request the same one again. It's like, because when you open the app back up, it just says, "Did you like riding with?" And it's got the name of your driver is a dude by the name of Stan. Did you like to riding with Stan? Would you like to request him again?
I would like to request Stan again.
Yeah. So yeah, you ping him through the app, and when he comes back around to you, says, "Well, shit, you're still here. I'll be damned. That's not everyone that I take here that does that. A lot of them disappear into that creepy ass building and they never come out again."
Who knows? I might be a ghost.
Doubt. You got Eddie's. That already tells me all I need to know. You're still alive like the rest of us. And with that, he, as you kind of settle in, he starts driving back toward the workshop. So before we have this little meeting with Sparks, I would say, because we've been going for a little over 3 hours already, which is insane to me. It doesn't feel like it's been that long. But I would like to take just a quick break so we can like refresh water and all of that. Maybe I can chat with Chad a little bit.
No worries.
But yeah, so guys, we'll be right back. If you're on YouTube, just give me a moment. You'll just see me blink out and blink back. Twitch, just give us a few minutes. We'll be right back. Hey everyone, it's Emmerron here. I just want to thank you for watching the show here on YouTube. Like and subscribe, and go follow us over on Twitch, you gonk. We do a live show over there. We even chat with you after it's done. So come and join us Mondays, 7 p.m. Arizona time. See you there in the dark future, tunes. All right, hello everybody. We are back. Peacock and Celsius, you guys are gonna go meet up with Sparks to see what he could do about some of this data that Recluse has just sold you. So with that in mind, before we kind of do that, because I don't want to leave him hanging the whole session, Ghost, was there anything that you wanted to do as Rook in the midst of all this? In the couple days following things?
No, just keep an eye on like people's times and like when most people are there, or like when most people aren't there, I should say.
Okay. Go ahead and roll me a perception check. Just see how well you kind of figure things out. Oh, beautiful. That's nice. All right. Yeah, so ultimately, I mean, as one might expect, nighttime is kind of where things got a little more... It's where things get a little quieter in this station. And that is kind of a contrast, actually, because before maybe this week, nighttime was always a bit chaotic because of all the riots that existed on the border with the old combat zone. But since the attack, it's kind of all stopped. So the NCPD has pretty much gone back to like kind of the old norm of most of the office people, the pencil pushers, all that. They're kind of out and away from the precinct later in the night. And more it's just the, you know, skeleton crew that kind of stays on through the nighttime there. So, you know, whatever this is going to be, it's probably going to be a nighttime deal. Additionally, you know that a lot of the people around the precinct, the thing you kind of become privy to here is that they're planning kind of their own push into the zone. There's something they're mentioning, like every so often you hear one of the bigwigs who kind of come down. They're halfway through a conversation on the walk to an office of theirs or something of that nature, or a meeting room. And they are talking with someone else saying something about, yeah, the agreement says in a week is when they're going to start development. and you're not really sure what that means, but this is something you kind of overhear. They're talking about some kind of development or project, and in about a week is when it's slated to start.
All right, definitely good to know. I'm going to be holding that in the pocket.
Cool. But beyond that little bit of information gathering, anything else?
Honestly, probably not.
Okay.
Working the shift, doing paperwork, keeping an eye on people, waiting for the day to
Sure.
come.
Head laying low. Yeah, getcha. All right. Cool. So with that, so Celsius and Peacock, you both wind up at the tech's workshop, and it's this little kind of like hole in the ground, so to speak. It's another one of those shops that's below street level, with like a small kind of, it looks like would be like a small apartment on the upper part, and the basement appears to have been refitted into a sort of storefront. And in the front, you've got what it looks like a fairly rundown storefront with like a flickering neon sign that just says Sparks Tech Works. If you need it, we got it. And it's a really like simple, not too complicated. There's a part of you, Peacock, that even thinks like, damn, for a guy that works with edge runners as big as those that maybe worked out of the Inferno, this guy's got a really humble looking shack here. Like this doesn't look like someone Rex would work with.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, looks can be deceiving. On the way here, I'd like to go through that file I received.
Sure.
And I specifically want to go through there, and I just need to basically, if there's any information on that file that isn't strictly necessary to making the IDs that I want the tech to make, to just redact it.
Sure, or just like pull the ID information aside to a separate file or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. So go ahead and roll me a library search check.
Sure.
All right. Yeah, no, that's really good. All right. So you dig through the file, and you're pretty quick able to pick out what is like your pass keys for like their network against the IDs that you need to access the building and get through things. A particularly interesting thing, as you kind of like run through this information, and it's something that's fairly quick, and you feel like if you weren't being meticulous about this and very much like vigilant about what it is you're copying, you might not have noticed this. But something you notice is one of these key IDs is assigned to Harold Lejeune. And Harold is the chief of police for Night City.
How do you spell that last name?
Lejeune.
Okay, got it.
Yep. So Lejeune is kind of the chief of police. If you know, in fact and in title, there's many people in the city who would probably like say that he's just a puppet dancing for corporate overlords, like much of the city and its leadership. But the fact that you're kind of struck for a moment by the fact that Recluse had Harold Lejeune's net IDs just like handy and was like willing to sell them for like $1,000.
The hell have I been doing? That's kind of Peacock's thought at the moment. So, oh geez, okay. That's important. That's important. Okay. Is there any way for me to obfuscate the name of which that ID is associated with, but it would still work as an ID for Harold Lejeune?
Probably not a great way. You could try to cryptography it, or either cryptography or forgery. I would accept either one.
Okay. I'm going to leave it. I will leave it. Just
Yeah.
because, I don't know, just a thought I had.
Sure. And
I-
go ahead.
Go ahead. I was just going to say, I just don't know how trustworthy this guy is. So I don't know if I want to hand the net ID of the chief of police to this guy.
Sure.
But
You
I
recognize
mean,
you could try to mask it though, and that would just be like to forge it or to scramble its encryption enough that whatever readout it gives to someone who's not using it for its intended purpose, it would be garbled nonsense, but it would still write to the key card or whatever he hands you correctly.
Okay. I'll try it. Yeah, I'll try it, and I'm gonna spend some luck on it. I'll do 2 luck on it.
Okay. Oh man, that is a great roll. So yeah, you go in and like in the car ride over, which realistically is only maybe 10 minutes. You do take the time to like mask the critical parts of that information to make it more look like just another kind of run-of-the-mill ID, like the typical kind of keys they give to like custodial staff or things like that, where it's anonymized. Like it doesn't look like anything to anyone but you, who knows what that really is, and what kind of level of access that affords you.
Excellent.
Beautiful.
All right.
So the cab drops you off just outside this fairly innocuous looking tech workshop in Old Japantown. So we looking to just go inside, or what are we doing?
All right. I look at Cell and I'm like, well, let's just go on in. Let's go meet our new compadre.
Sounds good, man. I'm just along for the ride today.
Yeah.
And as you walk up to the door, you see a small camera kind of rotate to look toward you. And a speaker in the door comes alive with, "Oh, I haven't had visitors in, God, must be weeks. What can I help you with?"
Rex sent us.
"Oh, yeah, you mentioned a wirehead and the dude with the weird eyes. Yeah, I got you. Give me just a moment." And you hear a loud buzzer as the door unlocks.
I'll just mumble to myself, weird? Is this what he calls weird in Night City?
I don't know this. I mean, you should have seen the last guy.
And so as the door opens in front of you both, you walk into what is a, it's a tech workshop. It's not exactly what you'd call organized or clean, anything like that. But it definitely looks like the guy here knows what he's doing, because a lot of the wall is occupied by a variety of projects, from firearms to armor to cyberware, all kinds of different kind of things that are being worked on or are for sale. And behind a counter in front of you, fiddling with another one of these firearms, is a man with wiry silver and white kind of hair that is all kinds of scraggly. You can see a couple spots where it looks like maybe a spark got into his beard or something and singed it or lit it on fire very briefly. And he's got a set of tech goggles over his face as he's like carefully like applying, a treatment of some kind of oil to this gun. He says, "Give me just a moment. You came in at a little bit of an inopportune time. I've got to make sure this beauty is nice and polished. Got a big ass op coming up from the sounds of it. which I can only imagine is why Rex sent you all to me. And he's just like scrubbing away at this thing, like making sure it's nice and polished. And most importantly, you notice he's examining this very polished flat part near the front of the muzzle, where you recognize typically there'd be some kind of like registration number or serial number that has been cleanly filed off. Like this is a ghost gun at this point. So but yeah, as he kind of finishes applying whatever kind of topical agent he's putting on this gun, he sets it off to the side, lifts the tech gogs, and says, "So, came to visit little old me in my little shack far away from anything exciting or action-packed in the city today. What the hell can I do for you?"
Well, it turns out the exciting and action-packed is coming to you today. Because I got a little something.
Stop, you're making me blush. The fuck you got for me?
Alright, I'm gonna send him the modified file. And I'm gonna say, we need you to make some IDs.
Yeah, and he like sets his agent out and pops it up, like taking extra time to like expand it so it's like bigger print for his eyes. And he's kind of like looking at this. He says, "Shit, I mean, a couple of these names, Jesus Christ, the fuck you get these? Never mind. Don't want to know. Don't want to know."
Yeah, less you know, the better.
It's just, true that, Chum. Still, shit. Wherever you got this, they're well connected. I'll give them that much. Give me just a moment. I'll see what I can do. You just want these dumped onto key cards, badges, that kind of thing?
If you happen to know if there's anything special, we need these to look like NCPD IDs.
And he kind of gives you a look like he knows that you're up to something. He says, "Rex sent you. I'm sure he's got his reasons. This ain't the first time he's tangled with the fucking pigs, but I just hope he knows what he's fucking doing. He's gonna get us all killed one of these days." And with that, he takes the file and loads it into a porta printer off on his right side. And you see him key in a couple of like finer details on it. And pretty soon the thing is just spitting out thin slides of plastic with NCPD badges kind of stamped on it, the right kind of holographic foiling, that kind of stuff to make it look real authentic with all the visual security features that the typical badge would have. And he says, "All right, so badges doubles as a key card. Most of the time, word on the street, we'll swipe them on doors. They'll run them up against optical scanners. I mean, these things can do a fucking lot. Getting the encryption to figure out their shit was a nightmare. Gigs upon gigs, weeks upon weeks. Wasn't easy. Rex figured it out, paid a couple of the right people. Lo and behold, I have what are, to anyone who doesn't know, authentic NCPD badges. Here are some access keys. These should let you into most of the security rooms in their building and, you know, let you walk in, walk out. No one will be the wiser. The one thing I cannot spoof without getting access to their network, and therefore you, Mr. Wirehead, I want you to understand that the second you have access to their cams, you need to wire your faces into their IFF data, because if they see your face and it doesn't match whatever key you're using, then you could be in for a world of hurt. We're talking the whole place goes on lockdown, alarms, the whole shebang. So quicker you get that settled and load your faces in, the quicker this becomes a nice, easy walk in the park through a heavily guarded government building.
Good to know. I appreciate it, really.
Yeah, just trying to keep my ass out of the fire. So, the copy job on all this, Rex sent you to me, told me to expect you. He did not, however, say he was footing the bill for this. So I hope one of you has 500 eddies to throw my way.
Yeah, I'll cover this one. This is my thing. So
Beautiful.
I'll fling him the 500.
Yep. And he says, good. Nice doing business with you. So yeah,
Mhm.
you know, you worst comes to pass, you start getting cattle prodded, or worse, they try to pump you with truth serum. Thing number one, you don't know me. Thing number two, I did nothing. All right.
Who are you again?
Exactly. Now that you brought all this lovely, exciting business, I'm looking to have a nice cold one and return to oiling my guns. So if you would, kindly, with all due respect, get the fuck out of my shop.
Damn, hospitable, isn't he?
Hey, you came to my shop in Old Japantown. I don't know what you expected.
I mean, hey, listen, my buddy might want something.
I'm good, Chum. I just want to go back and rest.
All right, man.
There.
Appreciate your biz.
Yeah. And with that, you guys get walking back. By now, the sun is kind of setting in the west over the Pacific. And you arrive back at Purgatory before much longer. And it is now that Rex reaches out to the group. It just says, all right, everyone, think I've got what we all need to get this whole thing done, blow the lid wide open, and take out the last of our problems on the east end of the city. So,
Mm-hmm.
with that said, I'm gonna distribute these things to a couple of my agents, some runners I trust deeply. They're gonna get them to your hands so that I'm not seen handing out anything. As per usual, my name crosses no one's lips. No one says where any of this came from, how it got to you, any of that. So, beyond that, I just want to wish everyone good luck, stay safe, happy pig hunting.
So, question: how many IDs do I have?
You got about half a dozen. So you've got like 6 different badges to kind of pick from. Harold Lejeune's is marked as contractor. So like it's one of those general contractor badges.
I see.
So
Mm-hmm.
not too bad.
And will
though.
that work?
Oh yeah, it's a skeleton key basically.
Awesome.
The only thing you
Keep it.
muddled was what printed as far as like the identity. It doesn't change its access. It's basically a skeleton key.
Beautiful. Music to my ears. I also just really quick want to text Matchlight. Just be like, hey, haven't heard from you in a bit. Everything chill?
Yeah, and Matchlight just responds back with Carpet caught one hell of a dose. Trying to make sure she's better. Might be out of commission for a little bit.
Alright. Bet, just glad you're safe.
And with that, so we've got the crew kind of preparing to do this. We've got some things lining up here where the job is gonna get really interesting. And Rook, you're reached out to by Rex saying, all right, every good business relationship starts with an element of trust. I can say that I've worked with other cops. I've made sure of their allegiance to me. Trust is my language that I deal in almost exclusively. This is one of those few times where I haven't had the chance to properly vet or analyze or any of that. But if you are indeed the kind of person that Shinobu's marketed you and Xavier to be, then I trust you to do everything right by us when the time comes. Tonight's the night. Be ready.
Paperwork is just gonna kind of look at his agent, sigh, slide into the, or no, put it in his pocket, and set his gun on his desk, and just gonna wait.
Beautiful. All right. Well, gentlemen, it is 4 hours deep right now, and this whole thing is going to take probably 4 more, and I don't really want to hold us all to that this week, just because I want to make sure we have the time and energy to do this right. So is everyone good if we call it here and then pick this back up next week?
Sounds like a plan. Feels like a good stopping point.
Yeah.
Okay with that. That sounds great.
Beautiful. All right. Well, to anyone watching this on YouTube, this is where we're going to call Neon Inferno for the week. So thank you all so much for watching, if you are watching us after the fact. Of course, we do stream live on Twitch every Monday at 7:30 Arizona time, which this time of year means Pacific. The other part of the year, we are Mountain. We are weird. But if you'd ever want to come hang out with us and chat, we do have moments where I pull away and get to talk with everybody and say hello. There's also all kinds of chat redeems and things that lets you interact with the crew. So I highly recommend it. That said, I hope all of you have a wonderful morning, evening, or afternoon wherever you are in the world. Stay healthy, stay safe, and until next week, peace.